Alrighty.
Oh, ain't just saying from up above. You know you make my world light up. When I was down, when I was hurt, you came to lift me up. Life is a drink, a love's a drunk. Oh, now I think I must be my gears up. When I was a river dry up, you came to rain the floor. Just drink for me, drink for me. When I was so thirsty, oh, a symphony. And I just can't get enough. Just wings on me, wings on me. When I was so heavy, oh, a symphony. When
Somebody is dropping stuff. I don't know what this milk bucket is for. Onions. Ooh. Radiation highway. A bit farther. Oh, my car keeps despawning. Shit, I just put in the wrong one. Well. Alright. Let's do this.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Bada bing,
It
bada
is
boom.
exhausting to exist in this world, especially if you're an empathetic person. It's like a fight within yourself, right? Your personality tells you, hey, go over there and help that stranger. That poor old man looks like he's struggling to load his groceries into his car. But then you have the voice in the back of your head, and maybe my videos did this to you, but it's like, no. The minute you go over there, you're gonna turn around, grab another bag of groceries, he's gonna bonk you on the head, throw you into his trunk, and you're gonna end up dead on a pig farm. I get it. It's a lot. And social media doesn't help. There's always a new thing on social media that everyone is like, be on the lookout. Zip ties on your car door. You walk out of Target, there's a zip tie on your car door. Human trafficking. Dollar bills laced with drugs. Paper bags on your windshields. Baby seats in the parking lot. And the one that I think of most is the baby on the side of the road. Or the baby crying outside your door at night.
This was a
What would
recent
you
thing
do
this week.
if you saw a child on the side of a busy interstate, alone and distraught,
You gotta help.
right? You would have to stop. You would have to stop and help. There's no other option.
Yeah.
That was a huge question that was lingering in the air this past week, not just on social media, but really on mainstream media. Every news outlet was asking this question. Would you stop on the highway if you saw a small child that was just standing there? There was no other car there. Nobody else was there. Would you stop?
Yeah.
July 13th, 2023. So a week ago, if you're listening to the audio the day it comes out, 25-year-old Carly Russell stopped. She said that she had spotted a small toddler on the side of the highway, of a busy highway, on her way home from work. It was about 9:30 p.m., so it's not super late. It's not like 3:30 in the morning. There's nobody else around. It's not a time that makes you go, ooh, that's weird. Maybe this is a setup. 9:30, it's still pretty early. She called 911 to alert them of this unattended child. There was no car parked on the shoulder, so it's not like a family had stopped on the side to get out and the child got out of the car. The child was alone. She called 911. They said, okay, can you stay right there and we'll be there in like a few minutes. She hangs up, then she calls her brother's girlfriend. She stays on the phone with her, waiting for the police to arrive. But maybe Carly is afraid that the kid is gonna run off into the woods. So most highways are stationed, and there's usually like wooded areas nearby, right? Maybe she's worried about that, or maybe she's concerned that the kid is gonna run into oncoming traffic. So she pulls over, so she gets out of her car. And her brother's girlfriend could hear her asking this child if the child was okay. She asked about 3 times before she started screaming. All her brother's girlfriend could do was listen helplessly on the phone. She heard Carly scream, she heard rustling noises, she kept screaming Carly's name, but there was no audible response other than what sounded like a struggle. She didn't hear any other voices or people talking, but it definitely sounded like something very, very bad had happened. Her brother's girlfriend happened to be at the Russell family home, so she rushed into Carly's parents' room and motioned for Carly's mom to rush over. And she's quickly trying to explain what's going on, and her mom starts screaming into the phone, Carly, Carly, are you okay? Are you there? She tries using her phone to call Carly. No response. The police would arrive at that scene in the highway about 5 minutes later, less than 5 minutes, like 4 minutes later. Carly's car was left unattended. Her driver's side door was left wide open. Her purse with her Apple Watch inside were in the front seat of her car. And in the grass near the wooded area off the highway was Carly's wig and her phone. In the grass, on the ground. And Carly was gone.
And the kid?
Yeah, gone. No one was there. She had gone missing, and all initial signs pointed to an abduction, or at least that's what netizens thought. The stories, the urban legends that merged with real-life reports started to kind of mush together, and a lot of netizens were concerned, and they asked, what if it was human traffickers? What if they used a little toddler to lure in helpful women to come out of their cars and then snatch them? What if that's what happened to Carly? If that's the case, would they even find her? Would they ever even find the human traffickers? The only person that would know for sure what happened on that highway that night would be Carly Russell, and she was gone. Until she wasn't. Just 2 days later, exactly 49 hours later, Carly showed up to her parents' home, barefoot. She was back.
This shit.
And the world had so many questions. What happened during the past 49 hours? How did you escape? How did you find your way back home? Where is the child? All of these are very reasonable questions. But because of the intrigue, because of the mystery, because of the almost evasiveness that Carly had, and a lot to do with the internet's obsession for conspiracy theories and a lot of inconsistencies in the case, the question slowly comes to, is Carly Russell even telling the truth? And unfortunately, I think some of the answers coming out right now are a lot worse than what we thought could be.
Wait a minute.
As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. This case, along with the arrest of the Gilgo Beach murder suspect, has been filling up my inbox and DMs. We are currently working super hard to get the Gilgo Beach case to you guys ASAP, but with that being said, something to note about this case. It is an ongoing case. It is a viral case. There have not been any arrests or warrants that have been made known to the public. I'm sure that there's a lot that law enforcement is privy to that maybe we are not still. And since we don't have the case files or trial or anything like that, that means that this is the information we have as of now. It could very likely change, or there could be new information that comes out that changes the perspective of what we think we know now. So this episode is coming to you a day late because of a press conference that I wanted to include in all of this. Hopefully, I'm giving you guys the newest, most up-to-date recap of everything that's happened so far. And with that being said, let's get into it. Let me walk you through July 13th first. Carly Russell was a nursing student at Jefferson State Community College, but she also worked part-time at like a local day spa. So she had just finished work around 8:20 p.m. She left work, ran a few quick errands. I mean, everything sounds like a normal day. By all accounts, nothing spectacular happened. Law enforcement stated that as she drove away from work to run her first errand and her second errand, she was constantly on the phone with people that she knew. So talking to friends, family, right? She goes to pick up Mediterranean food for herself and her mother. Then she does a quick Target run to pick up a few quick snacks. And then she starts heading back home on Interstate 459. Now, side note, Carly lived with her parents. I'm not sure if her brother and her brother's girlfriend all lived in the house too, but it seems like her brother's girlfriend was at the house that night. Keep this in mind. So this is about an hour after she gets off work. She calls her brother's girlfriend and tells her that she sees a small child on the side of the highway. The child is in a white shirt and a diaper. She turns on her hazard lights and starts slowly pulling over, like slowing down and then pulling over safely on the shoulder of the highway. Her brother's girlfriend tells her...
Wait. I'm so sorry. She was just pulling over while she was on the phone with the girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
But you say she called the police already.
Oh, no. This is when her brother's girlfriend is like, oh, you need to call the cops. Don't get out of the car.
Okay.
So she's like, oh, okay, let me call the cops right now. So as she's slowing down, she's calling the cops.
Got it.
And then She gets on the call with dispatch, and the 911 call was recently released in the press conference yesterday, July 19th. And it starts with Carly stating that she's on I-459, and there's just a kid that's walking by themselves. Now, a lot of the conversation initially is about if she's going southbound or northbound, and where exactly, what's the mile marker. And then the dispatch asks, how old do they look?
Were they walking northbound or southbound?
They're walking towards Tuscaloosa.
Walking southbound? Or how old do they look?
Like a toddler, like maybe like 3 or 4.
Did you pull over with them? Are you still with them?
Yes.
Okay, are you with the child right now?
No, I'm not. I didn't get out of the car. I can see them though.
Do you mind staying and keeping an eye on them until we get there?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
What is he wearing?
It's a white t-shirt, and it doesn't look like he has any pants on. It looks like a diaper.
And you don't see any cars anywhere?
No cars are anywhere.
And the whole thing about Carly's voice is it sounds so normal. It sounds like if I were to call 911 about a missing child, or like a child that I see on the side of the road. It's just concerned but not stressed out. It's more like a toddler, maybe 3 or 4. Did you pull over with them, or are you still with them? Yes. Okay, you're with the child right now? No, I'm not. I didn't get out of the car. I can see them though. Do you mind staying with the child until we get there? Yeah, sure. Dispatch asks questions about the kind of car that Carly is in. And then they go, did you talk to the child at all, or did you say anything to them? No. Do they look like they're injured? No, they don't. Are they white, black, Hispanic, or Asian? They're white. Male or female? I think it's a boy. A little boy? White male?
What the hell?
Okay, so is he wearing clothes? Yes, it's a white shirt, and it doesn't look like he has pants on. It looks like a diaper. And you don't see any cars anywhere? No cars anywhere. Okay, try to keep an eye on him as best as you can. I don't want you to lose track of him. Does he have shoes on? No, not that I can see, but I can't see him that well. It's really dark. Officers are on the way. Keep an eye on him, okay? Thank you. Okay, thanks, bye.
Wait,
Once
what? I
she's
went into
done,
the house.
She hops back on the phone with her brother's girlfriend.
Oh, well,
I
might as
will
well.
say it is important to note that the dispatch initiated the hang-up. So I saw some discourse about it online, like, why did she hang up? Usually dispatch tries to stay on the phone with you, but it's pretty indicative in the call that dispatch was like, okay, thanks. It was like a very natural end. So now she's on the phone with the brother's girlfriend, and I think the brother's girlfriend most likely thought that she was just gonna stay on the phone with her until the police arrived. But before she could even do much, she can hear Carly talking to someone. I mean, it's pretty clear Carly got out of the car, and it sounded like she was trying to ask the child if the child was okay. Like, are you okay? Are you all right? It said that Carly asked maybe 2 to 3 times, and the brother's girlfriend could not hear a response. So she never heard the toddler respond, or maybe he was too scared to speak. And then there was a scream. Some sort of shuffling. A lot of background noise. Carly's brother's girlfriend didn't even dare hang up. She starts running around the house trying to get all of Carly's family gathered, and she's screaming Carly's name into the phone. When Carly's mom found out what was going on, she picked up her own phone and starts calling Carly because, she knows that her son's girlfriend has an open line, but still, she has to at least try. She doesn't know what else she can do. Right now, all they hear is background noise, and Carly hasn't said anything after she screamed. Thankfully, the family all use Life 360, an app to share locations with family and friends, and they threw on their clothes and they start racing to the location that shows up on their phones. It was a residential street.
Wait, it wasn't highway?
No, so not where Carly was. Her phone wasn't there either. The family would later find out that her phone was on the other side. So it's the highway, and in the middle, a wooded area, and then on the other side of that was a residential street.
Huh.
So I guess Life 360 is not like that precise.
Oh, okay. So they went to the residential area.
Yeah.
And the phone and everything is across the fence almost.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, there is a fence, yeah.
Okay.
And so they're like, oh my God, she's not here. Her phone's not here. Like, what's going on? Now, side note, Carly's mom also called 911 after she found out Carly wasn't responding to the phone anymore. There were technically 2 911 calls that made that night about this incident. The first being Carly calling about the toddler on the side of the road. The second being Carly's mom to report the strange incident
How
with
to
her
open
daughter.
this safe?
There would be no other calls to report a child missing or a child spotted on the highway. Just these 2 calls. And there would be no sign of Carly Russell anywhere. The police in this case, I will give it to them. They were on it. I mean, the same cannot be said for a lot of missing persons cases, especially missing Black women's cases, but they were on the scene within 4 minutes-ish. Yeah, and they started pulling CCTV cameras from the highway. We do have footage of her vanishing, but the footage is so grainy, so unclear, we can barely make out human figures in it. The footage is almost like an aerial view of the highway. It's nighttime. All the lights are like reflecting off of each other. It shows Carly Russell's red Mercedes, though, starting to slow down with her hazard lights on. She safely pulls over to the side of the highway. And I will note one thing. As she starts slowing down, she's driving for a while. We're going to later find out exactly how long she drove for. But that was like the first thing everyone noticed is like, wow, she's driving for a long time. So did she see the kid that far ahead? Because if she did, then more people should have seen the kid.
Yeah.
Or was the kid like running away from her? Like, what's going on?
So we're gonna find out the distance that she's driving slowly for.
And the distance is, well, I guess I can tell you right now. It's 6 football fields.
What?
What?
600 yards.
How did she see the kid that far?
Oh, wow. That's, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's driving for a while. Maybe she has really good eyesight. Because something else
No
to
way.
notice, again, there were no other 911 calls made that night, nor any witnesses that came forward that stated that they also saw a child on the side of the highway. She starts slowing down. She makes it to the mile marker, like a giant sign on the highway, right? She stops the car, and from the footage, it's hard to see any child. Like, look, some people say they can make out a few figures. Other people say that they can't. I personally don't see anything, and I'm very aware that humans are more prone to see human faces and human figures in shadows. So I can't say for sure. It is, like, way too dark, way too grainy in the footage. We do see Carly's car stop, and what appears to be her driver's side door opening, and, like, a blob of a figure. Because this is how bad the cameras are. Leaving the driver's side area, going through the back of her car, and opening the passenger side door. So she's like walking around the back of her car, going to the passenger side, opening it, and then she seems to walk off into the wooded area. And that was the last she was seen. Yeah. To tell you how grainy the footage is, you can't even make out which direction she went in after she leaves the passenger side door. Like, you don't know if she's going northbound or southbound, or at least I can't with the footage that we have publicly available right now. She just vanished. The highway is still busy. You can see there's cars non-stop. It's 9:40 p.m. and she was gone, just vanished into thin air. And the next 48 hours would be excruciating for the family. Her parents pleaded with the public to help find their beloved daughter. Carly Russell had so much ahead of her. She had graduated Auburn University with a degree in psychology. She was a nursing student. She worked hard. Her mom described her as being so kind and compassionate. She was a joy to be around. She had this like deep love for God. And neighbors said, this could have happened to any one of our kids. That's what got the world so passionate. I mean, it could have been my daughter that had seen the child on the side of the road. What kind of person wouldn't stop? How could you not, right? Of course you would stop. You would do that because you're a good person.
No.
A lot of Carly's neighbors had kids that Carly once babysat.
Oh, well.
So they were all holding.
Well, that was
It's Alabama, so it's pretty religious there. The prayer circles, they were holding vigils, they were looking and spending their entire weekend turning the entire town upside down. The nonprofit Crime Stoppers of Central Alabama raised money from the community, donations from people who wanted to help from afar. They were able to secure a $63,000 reward for anyone who knows anything about Carly's whereabouts. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it happened so quickly, right?
Yeah, like within maybe 24 hours. I mean, I don't know if there's a national average that I could find that seemed accurate, but many cases we've talked about, I mean, we've seen rewards of $5,000, $10,000, and that's usually after they've been missing for a period of time. This is a big deal. I think it just goes to show the whole nation wanted Carly home. Law enforcement this time, they quickly get to work, and it is not just the Hoover Police Department. I am talking local, state, federal agents were involved. The FBI, Secret Service, and the U.S. Marshal's Office were involved.
Huh. So when did it start going viral?
The same day. She went like the next day.
Really?
Yeah. Volunteer search parties made up of civilians, they hit the ground running.
What
and at
in the
first there were a lot of alarming rumors and whispers going around. At one point, there was a rumor that a witness claimed to see a gray car pull up and a man get out to approach Carly. Now, I will say there is no evidence of that on the CCTV footage, but the problem is that every single tip, anonymous, reasonable or not, every tip has to be investigated. That's what the FBI mainly worked on. The case went viral and they were getting hundreds of tips. The Russell family would get tips and they would be sent over to the police to look over as well, and it was just a lot of manpower being poured into this case. It was said at one point in time there were about 50 or 60 police officers working on this case, and that's not including federal agents. But like Carly's parents, the agents at home, Carly's mom told the media, "My daughter is a fighter. We believe that if there is any opportunity for her to make it home to us, she's going to seize that opportunity." She continued, "We want people to do everything in their power, no matter how big or how small, to make a joint effort." Carly's dad said, "We're gonna scour the earth. There is no stopping us." And Carly had a lot of people on her side. A lot of family members who had dealt with their own loss, their own family member being a victim of a crime or having gone missing. They came out in show of solidarity and support. Anaya Blanchard's mom being one of them. Anaya Blanchard went missing in 2019 in Auburn, Alabama. She was a 19-year-old college student. She texted her roommate that she was going to be home soon. CCTV cameras showed Anaya stopping by a gas station before heading home, and her phone activity stopped around midnight. She wasn't seen alive again. About a month later, her body was found in a wooded area. She was shot to death. A man named Ibrahim Yazid had been arrested and charged with her murder. This is really not that long ago, 2019, these are some fresh wounds, but Anaya Blanchard's mother showed up to help look for Carly. And she said very emotionally, "My heart is breaking for the Russells, but I'm gonna help them. I'm gonna be right there beside them." When Anaya went missing for the whole 32 days, I mean, your body is in a constant find my child state. There's nothing you can say, there's nothing you can do to make that go away. Time is of the essence to bring Carly home. Share Carly's information with everybody. Tell your friends, just share it. Be on the lookout, everyone, and be safe. I think most people were really worried that Carly Russell was already being human trafficked. There were some social media posts not too long ago that really stuck with a lot of women. So one famous one reads, "Ladies, please read this. Ryan, my husband, and I were at the mall. We walked up to our cars by Sears, and Ryan noticed that there was a baby crying in a car with no adult. So we pulled over to that mysterious car. Ryan got out and found out that the window was rolled down a tiny bit, and there was no baby in the car. There was like a tape recorder. It was a recording. Then I noticed that there was another shady car parked several spots down with blacked out windows, and I think that this is a setup. These are the kind of setups psychopath killers do to abduct you. Please be careful, everyone. Don't walk to the car or just call security or 911 if you hear a baby crying. Please share this to inform others."
Wow.
Another post read, "This was forwarded to me by a friend. They don't know if it's true or not, but I'm passing it along. We might see this on the news as like the latest internet hoax, but Joan, my friend, just told me that her friend heard a baby crying on her porch the night before last. She called the police because it was late and she thought it was weird, and the police told her, whatever you do, do not open the door. The lady said that the baby had crawled near a window now and she could hear the baby through the window, and she was so worried that the baby was going to crawl out into the street and get run over. And the police said, we already have a unit on the way. Do not, whatever you do not open the door." Then the officer told her that they think there's a killer who uses babies' cries recorded and uses it to lure women out of their homes, thinking that someone dropped off a baby. He said that it wasn't verified, but several women had called saying that they heard a baby crying outside their door when they're home alone. So these took over the internet by storm, along with the human traffickers that will zip tie your door handle at Target parking lots because that's how they mark you. Many of these have been, I don't know, I don't want to say proven false because that makes it seem like that's never happened at all, and I don't have the knowledge of that, but just they haven't been connected with human trafficking. So major advocacy groups to end human trafficking said this is not really a concern.
What is not a concern? Baby crying outside your door?
This doesn't, it seems more of like an urban myth.
What is a zip tie supposed to do?
Oh, okay. Apparently that's an urban myth too, but it's supposed to make you distracted and try to unzip tie your door handle. And it marks if you're like a single woman.
Got it.
Because they work in teams, right? But because all of this is constantly online, and like, don't get me wrong, I fall for these all the time. I'm like, honey, I can't go to the Target parking lot because they're gonna zip tie my car and put a paper bag on my windshield and jump out from the back and slice my Achilles heel. And he's like, okay. But I think that this case really just resonated with a lot of women because, I mean, these are the messages that we've been hearing. These are the messages online that have been going around for so long, and it's like, it's so frustrating. It's, wow, really another thing, we can't even be kind people anymore? And then it happened. It didn't happen to some random friend on Reddit, but to someone with a name. It happened to someone with a face who was so relatable. A young woman who was studying and working. It felt like Carly Russell could have been any one of us. So everyone rallied together to look for her. And then she was found. Almost exactly 49 hours later. July 15th, 2023, Hoover police receive a call from the Russell residence. Carly is home. We don't have that many details right now about how she got home, but here's what we know so far. She came home on foot. She didn't drive. Nobody dropped her off. She walked home somehow. She was barefoot. She was seen on neighbors' home security cameras walking through the neighborhood alone before arriving home. At first, the fire department, and I'm not sure where exactly the miscommunication came from, but the fire department initially thought Carly was unconscious and unresponsive. But when paramedics arrived at the scene to take care of her, she was responsive and speaking. She was rushed to the hospital to be evaluated. She was briefly questioned by the police, treated, and released. Now, I am going to go over what the police uncovered in their brief conversation with Carly once she's home and other key pieces of evidence that they found. But before that, let me walk you through the public's perception. Long before yesterday's press conference, there seemed to be a rabbit hole of inconsistencies about this case, according to the internet. For one, nobody else reported seeing a child on the side of the highway. And if you just look at the people of Hoover who came together to look for Carly, I feel like this is not a community that would just see a child and go, I'm sure someone else will deal with it. There were no reported sightings of that said child, but also there were no reports of a missing child that fit the description. But that doesn't mean that the child doesn't exist. It could have been a child that had gone missing long ago, or that nobody knew to be missing. But the biggest thing that everyone came back to was, if there was an abductor, if there was a child on the side of the highway, the police would absolutely announce that they were looking for this victim or this suspect after Carly got home, right? Because for like a week, the police were silent. Okay, for like 4 days, actually, the police were silent.
After Carly came home.
They released like little tidbits here and there, but they never said, hey, this is the composite sketch of the guy that we're looking for, or this is what the baby looks out. Everyone, don't go out at night. If you hear a baby on the highway, don't stop. They didn't put out any of these, and so the community is like, are we in danger or are we not? Someone let us know. So that is the belief. Like, look, I don't know. Look, I don't know though, because for the Idaho case, for the longest time, the public thought that the police weren't doing anything, and then they caught the person, but it's just, it was kind of shady. So one side of people believed that Carly was lying, and they said, well, they would warn the public. They would ask the public, who's already looking for answers, it's a national case, they would ask the public to be on the lookout. They didn't release any sort of sketch or anything. I mean, allegations that a child was being used to human traffic women or kidnap someone, that's a very big deal. Maybe they're not doing that because there's no abductor. There's no missing child. Others who are a bit more hesitant to believe someone would lie about something like this, they said, yeah, well, the public is already freaking out and creating all these conspiracies. Why would the police want the public involved? It would just cause more harm than good. Now, there were other things that the netizens had a hard time wrapping their heads around. There was a whole saga with the Red Roof Inn. So apparently the day after Carly Russell went missing, there was a Red Roof Inn about 12 minutes away, like 5 miles away from where Carly went missing on the highway, and a 911 call was made from what appeared to be a worker at the Red Roof Inn. And they stated to authorities that about 6 cars of family members came in, claiming to be Carly Russell's family members, and they're like pulling up looking for Carly. The family members stated that Carly personally told them that she was here.
What?
So it seems like the family had a personal conversation with Carly, is initially what netizens thought. Well, it was, I guess, kind of disproven, depends if you want to take their word for it, but Carly's mother came out to state, there is a horrible and heartless hoax we want to address out of several. I received a text at some point from someone claiming to be Carly, and that she was at the Red Roof Inn. However, when my family went there and knocked doors and looked for her, there was no indication that Carly was there, nor had she ever been there. either way, I'm mentioning this because a lot of netizens focused on, this part of the case because it just seemed just peculiar, just strange. Now, Carly's parents were supporting her from the minute that she went missing and from the minute that she got back. They firmly believe that Carly has been kidnapped, even when she got back. They still believe without a shadow of doubt that their daughter's abductor is still out there. They stated, Carly gave her statement to the police so that the police can continue to pursue the kidnappers. But a lot of people, for some reason, didn't really like their media interviews. I've seen a lot of videos, maybe too many videos, over-analyzing the parents' body language. And again, while I do find body language
Bobby,
experts
you
fascinating
fucking
and
scared me.
oftentimes insightful, I think especially with crime cases, it's way...
Dude.
Oh, you see, I got the house. Woo woo.
Oh, nice.
And the one right next door, too.
Oh. Did you know
Now I gotta wait for you to sell this house.
Not happening.
Alright.
Did you know that, I mean, if you want to switch houses, I could take this one instead. Huh.
Nah.
I like my house.
I like this.
I like my house. It's behind
The only thing is, I'm not sure if I can fit the truck through here.
You can. You should be able to.
Yeah, I can?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I don't know. Through this? Not sure. But, did you know you could rob the garages now?
What?
You could rob the garages.
That thing right there?
Yeah, literally the garage.
Let's try
You
that.
get so many different things.
Was it like the same thing with the one across the street, too?
Let me check if I have different things in here. Well, I was doing it in Encino area. See, look at the stuff in here. There's like different stuff. Well, I got majority of it anyways. I got a fucking leaf blower. I don't know what that's for.
Oh, nice. A leaf blower, what the?
Yeah, I was getting different things.
Oh, wow. Maybe that's a new luck set item.
What? Ah, I don't know.
I'm joking. No,
Oh,
I
and
like it up
also-
here because it's super isolated and
Apparently
no one.
there's also safe boxes in the houses now and the garage.
Safes?
It's like safes, yeah, but I don't know how to unlock it.
Did you try
We
the
tried
high-speed power
everything.
drill?
Yeah, we tried that. We tried thermite. We tried everything. I'm telling you now, we tried
A
everything.
sledgehammer?
No way is that gonna work.
Wait, that's how you open up safes, though. Like,
What?
yeah.
Well,
So
why
if you
don't-
have a small safe, you just smash the thing with the
It's not a
sledgehammer.
small safe though.
Well, any safe. You smash the shit out of it with the sledgehammer, it will open.
I don't know. You can try that.
It might take you 5 hours, 10 hours, but it will
It's-
open.
I don't- yeah, it's not gonna happen here.
That's another thing. I was gonna say thermite, but we already
yeah,
tried
we
that.
tried everything, even the spare key.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Now let's go around, I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, there's not enough cops at the moment, so.
Oh, darn it. I tried yesterday on these houses and they didn't work. Do they only sometimes work?
Yeah, they
Or only
can.
sometimes
I
robbable?
literally upgraded everything. Even the transition of my stream is different as well. So, like, okay, I'll show you. So, when I'm doing the starting soon, see the transition of the pedals? Oh, this is my starting soon. Wait, let me turn off the rain because it's loud. So this is my starting soon. You could still, if you're chatting, it'll show everything, even like when you're shout out or when you do like, yeah, see? It shows on the bottom. It's the same with taking a break. And then with the end. Yeah. Also, one thing that really got changed is when someone follows, you'll see something different. It's just different. And it's so cute. It's so cute. I love it, you know? But yeah, I decided to change everything. It's been the 4 years too long that I haven't changed how my streams look. So here, I'll just show you an example when someone follows. When someone follows, it's like... Yeah, see, it's so cute. Oh, thanks for the follow, Mr. Pine77. Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh, wow. Also, when someone subs, resubs, gift subs, and community sub, there's different emotes for each of those as well. And donating 100 bits will give a random clip. I need to add more clips, but like different assorted funny clips that happened on my stream. So when you donate 100 bits, that's what happens. And then the 1,000 bits has like it's only 4 random music animated videos. Kind of like what Metritis does with the horse, but mine, of course, is a little bit more or less, less than that one. That's for sure. Yeah. I need to find more to add in, just so that it's like a 25% chance random. So it's all of it is 25% chance random, where it'll either do the regular bit donation, and then it'll show like random clips sometimes. It's gonna be just random, which is alright. But yeah, I decided to change it up, and I love it. Like, I really do. It's like more clean to me. There's so much random shit here, like. But yeah. I really don't want to arrange my stuff, so I'm just dumping it all in the big one. Oh, and then I also have the animated emotes, a few of those with my face. I have a friend that really wants to use them, but he's just not subbed. Oh, and also new sub badges. So the longer you sub, there's just so many different colors of blossoms now that you'll have. Like from the leaf until it grows into a blossom, and then different colors of the blossom. Oh, and if you do like a regular high as well. See, I got a blue blossom. Sus. Dude, my desktop audio was muted this whole time. Nobody said anything. Oh well. Where was I? How long was that? Okay, whatever.
Another thing, we can't even be kind people anymore. And then it happened. It didn't happen to some random friend on Reddit, but to someone with a name. It happened to someone with a face who was so relatable. A young woman who was studying and working. It felt like Carly Russell could have been any one of us. So everyone rallied together to look for her. And then she was found. Almost exactly 49 hours later. July 15th, 2023, Hoover police receive a call from the Russell residence. Carly is home. We don't have that many details right now about how she got home, but here's what we know so far. She came home on foot. She didn't drive. Nobody dropped her off. She walked home somehow. She was barefoot. She was seen on neighbors' home security cameras walking through the neighborhood alone before arriving home. At first, the fire department, and I'm not sure where exactly the miscommunication came from, but the fire department initially thought Carly was unconscious and unresponsive. But when paramedics arrived at the scene to take care of her, she was responsive
Fence is dangerous.
and speaking.
I think we need to remove it.
She was rushed to the hospital to be evaluated. She was briefly questioned by the police, treated, and released. Now, I am
Yeah, I know, so
what
people
police
can't
uncovered in
see
their
you
brief
from up
conversation
there.
with Carly once
I was
she
probably
was
gonna run
found,
car
and other
parts.
key pieces of
Yeah, I'm gonna run
evidence
car
that they
parts
found.
as well.
But before that, let me walk you
I'm gonna
through
try
the
and help
public's
with
perception. Long before yesterday's press conference, there
I'm
seemed to be
making
a
the money.
rabbit hole of
50K of fiberglass.
inconsistencies about this case according to the internet. For one, nobody else reported seeing a child on the side of the highway. And if you just look at the people of Hoover who came together to look for Carly, I feel like this is not a community that would just see a child and go, I'm sure someone else will deal with it. There were no reported sightings of that said child, but also there were no reports of a missing child that fit the description.
I got stuff.
But that doesn't mean that the child doesn't exist. It could have been a child that
I
had gone
got
missing
stuff
long,
in
long
here.
ago,
I need
or
to
that
transfer.
nobody knew to be missing. But the biggest thing that everyone came back to was, if there was an abductor, if there was a child on the side of the highway, the police would absolutely announce that they were looking for this victim or this suspect after Carly got home, right? Because for like a week, the police were silent. Okay, for like 4 days, actually, the police were silent.
After Carly came home.
They released like little tidbits here and there, but they never said, hey, this is the composite sketch of the guy that we're looking for, or this is what the baby looks out. Everyone, don't go out at night. If you hear a baby on the highway, don't stop. They didn't
This
put
is
out
your
any of
car
these.
part
And so the
vehicle?
community is like, are we in
Yeah,
danger
'cause
or
it's
are we
easier.
not? Someone let us know.
Yeah,
So that is the belief. Like,
Scrap.
look, I don't know. Even being, look, I don't know though, because for the Idaho case, for the longest
When are you
time,
gonna
the
get
public
yanked in
thought
on one
that
of
the
these
police weren't
big
doing
boys?
anything, and then they caught the person, but it's just, it was
It doesn't
kinda
even have a
shady.
plate.
So one side of people believed that Carly was
I think it's in
lying,
the
and
front.
they said, well, they would warn the public. They would ask the public, who's already looking for answers, it's a national case, they would ask the public to be on the lookout. They didn't release any sort of sketch or anything. I mean, allegations that a child was being used to human traffic women or kidnap someone, that's a very big deal. Maybe they're not doing that because there's no abductor. There's no missing child. Others who are a bit more hesitant to believe someone would lie about something like this,
Like
they
the
said,
plate
yeah, well, the public
name.
is already freaking out and creating
Oh,
all these
yeah, yeah.
conspiracies.
Waste
Why
bin.
would the police want the public involved? It would just cause more harm than good. Now, there were other things that the netizens
might
had a
have to
hard time
get
wrapping their
one of
heads around.
these.
There was a whole
I don't know,
saga
will
with
that
the
even
red roof
fit in
inn.
the driveway?
So apparently the day after Carly Russell went missing, there was a
Probably,
Red
yeah.
Roof Inn about 12 minutes away, like 5 miles away from where Carly went missing on the
Question
highway.
is, can I get
And
a
a 911 call
helicopter
was
in
made
there?
from what appeared to be a
Should
worker
Or is this
at the
fence
Red Roof
gonna
Inn.
break
And
the
they stated to
propeller?
authorities that about 6 cars of family members came in, claiming to be Carly Russell's family members, and they're like pulling up looking for Carly. The family members stated that Carly personally told them that she was here.
What?
So it seems like the family had a personal conversation with Carly, is initially what netizens thought. Well, it was, I guess, kind of disproven, depends if you want to take their word for it, but Carly's mother came out to state, there is a horrible and heartless hoax we want to address out of several. I received a text at some point from someone claiming to be Carly and that she was at the Red Roof Inn. However, when my family went there and knocked doors and looked for her, there was no indication that Carly was there, nor had she ever been there. Either way, I'm mentioning this because a lot of netizens focused on it. You know, this part of the case, because it just seemed just peculiar, just strange. Now, Carly's parents were supporting her from the minute that she went missing and from the minute that she got back. They firmly believe that Carly has been kidnapped, even when she got back. They still believe without a shadow of doubt that their daughter's abductor is still out there. They stated, Carly gave her statement to the police so that the police can continue to pursue the kidnappers. But a lot of people, for some reason, don't really like their media interviews. I've seen a lot of videos, maybe too many videos, over analyzing the parents' body language. And again, while I do find body language experts to be fascinating and oftentimes
Hey, guess what, by the
insightful,
way?
I think especially with crime cases, it's way too speculative to be productive. But many netizens just didn't like how the parents were speaking of the case. So
Bobby?
they didn't like their body language, but they
That's me,
also
what's
didn't
up?
like what they were actually saying, like the
My,
words they were using. The parents kept mentioning that anything regarding the
So, you know how I got another, like my first crab Benson that was supposed to be 5,000 on the dot?
Mm-hmm.
It went down 500 kgs.
Wait, like it's 500's missing?
Like 500 kg worth. It's either, I'm gonna speculate, maybe they changed the weight of some of the crabs?
Oh, maybe.
But I'm not sure because that's a lot of weight that, you know.
Yeah, definitely if you didn't touch it.
I've not touched it, yeah. So I'm not sure how.
You think they maybe might have it in the developer updates?
Nope. I mean, not even the new houses stuff is in there, so...
Oh.
But, let me just double check. Yeah, this is the one that should have 5,000, but it's not. See, it's missing.
And look at the weights here. 500.
They all look the same.
Oh, maybe they. I swear one of the crabs weighed 350, and none of them. There's only 2 now that weigh 300.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, the
Yeah, help me with the
Jonah or
crabs.
the. Oh,
And the
out of
Titan.
the.
I don't know, honestly. They changed it or what. But I'm missing. And I haven't touched this. Like, I haven't sold anything from this one. So something went down. Or I just don't remember. You know?
No, I mean it makes sense if either the Dungeness crab or the Jonah crab went down 50.
Are you
So
sure?
you have 1200. 1200 would have been 500 and some. No, it would have been like 700. No, that seems about right. Yeah, because you're at what was like 4. It was over 5.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have to fill this up to 5,000 on the dot again. Like, what? That's fine. I guess. Oh, I think that's it. Thanks. But it irritates my OCD that it's not. It's not what it's supposed to. Oh,
Now you can't say you have a truck completely full.
I mean, I have another one that's already 3,000 kgs worth.
Yeah, how much space does this thing have in it? This truck?
500.
400? 500. Damn. My Jeep only has 250.
Anyways, have fun doing
Alright, have fun.
parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good luck on that.
Alright.
That fiberglass.
Mhm.
You want to buy any for your friend? It's 50k a pop. Sell it to you for 40k.
Alright.
The actual case, they weren't going to talk about it. They said that they weren't allowed to discuss it. I guess netizens felt as if everything sounded like they had lawyered up, which again is pure speculation, and it doesn't really matter to the case. I think anyone that is having a conversation with law enforcement would do well to have a lawyer, but that's just me, okay? The netizens did not like this. And Carly's parents said it's been and that while Carly was missing, they had received countless malicious messages lying about where Carly was, that they knew something about Carly. Carly's mom stated that she didn't know how people could be so evil. She said now Carly is having to deal with the trauma of people just making up completely false allegations about her.
When was this speech given?
This was after Carly was found. She was like, now that she's home, she's with this trauma that she's already endured, now people are making up conspiracies that maybe she hadn't been kidnapped, maybe this kid didn't exist. There were conspiracies of maybe she was on drugs and hallucinating. Nobody else saw the kid, right? The parents also were asked about the condition that Carly was returned home in. And that's something the whole world wanted to know. Was she injured? Did she have something to say? What did she go through? The parents were asked, what did you do when you saw her? And her mom said she was not in a good state. We tried to hug her as best we could, but we had to stand back and let medical professionals work with her. They stated that the past 49 hours that Carly was missing, and I quote, there were moments she had to physically fight for her life and mentally fight for her life. A side detail that netizens were kind of picking apart was that a correspondent that spoke with Carly's parents said that Carly's parents had said, you know, we always warned Carly that something like this could happen. They warned her that someone might try to use a child to lure her in.
What? Okay, so like one of those internet things.
Yeah, that like, you know, we keep sending around, we share to the family group chats, but like, hey guys, be careful, right? Maybe it was like that. But I think they were saying it just as like a, hey, we're worried that something like this was gonna happen. But a lot of doubting netizens felt like, I don't know, there's too many coincidences. And again, this is not me personally stating an opinion, just presenting what I could find during my research. And since this case is very difficult to cover without including a lot of the public discourse, a lot of netizens were like, it seems like she took inspiration from that warning. Carly Russell's boyfriend also posted on social media when Carly was found safe. He wrote, "Thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for saving my girlfriend's life. I have been going nonstop since I received the call that she was missing on Thursday night. I know she would have done the same for me. So I wasn't going to give up until I saw her face again. I was straight tunnel vision, even though I would get on social media in my downtime and see some of the false allegations and assumptions about me having something to do with her abduction. She was literally fighting for her life for 48 hours, so until she's physically and mentally stable again, she is not able to give updates or whereabouts on her kidnapper at this very moment." Carly's parents have also released more statements on social media. On one Facebook post from Carly's mother, it reads, and this is shortened for clarity, "Great morning. My husband and I want to make this statement again as we did last night. It's nothing more to add or take away from how we're feeling right now. God is faithful and He has answered our prayers. We are so grateful to each one of you for all your acts of kindness, generosity, and compassion that you've shown. We do ask for privacy at this time to allow us to just love on our daughter and each other with our close friends and family. For everyone that has messaged or called to rejoice with us, we are so grateful for your concern. Just as we made a commitment to not entertain negative thoughts during the time our daughter was missing, we surely will not entertain negative thoughts and statements, invalidated opinions, or sheer ignorance at such a joyous time. We pray that those that doubt God's powers, miracles, and the power of faith will be encouraged to draw closer to Him and learn the power of positive affirmations and unwavering faith. Be blessed, the Russells." They also released another statement to address rumors about donations that were made to assist in the search of Carly. So a lot of people started speculating because Carly came home, and for days she was silent, and for days the police didn't release like a be on the lookout for this serial killer, or this abductor, or this child. They started to question, did Carly do this for attention and money? Like the Crime Stoppers reward, who's that gonna go to? Any donations for the search parties, who's that gonna go to? So the Russells stated that they gave the money back to Crime Stoppers, who will return the money to the rightful donors. The family deny any existence of any sort of GoFundMe, and they also stated, when we initially asked for the help of the public in searching and praying for Carly's safe return, we asked for sincere prayers, not prayers or support that came with strings or entitlement. Please understand our mental state and the anguish we have experienced and that Carly is still dealing with.
The
And
Pluto one's
understand
on the
that no
back.
matter how many
Yeah,
demands or
but
false narratives that
I
are
don't
produced,
do all the
we
way
will not
there
be
for,
bullied
you
into
know.
doing anything that will compromise our daughter's mental well-being or the investigation. We will not entertain the negative social media comments with a response, so you can find someone else to do it.
Yeah, I mean, see, I can see both sides, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, the less you speak, the more speculation people's gonna draw to. So, a situation like this, like people just want some kind of answer. So unless you give them some answer, it's only gonna get bigger, right?
Yeah, and I think when you're dealing with the general public, like I'm sure each one of us can sit here as an individual and say, well, I would never, right? But I think when you talk about a big, large mass of people, it's gonna work in the most basic way of human psychology. If they felt they have poured time and effort into this, they're gonna feel entitled to answers, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, I think some transparency.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or just, I think maybe even just the wording could have been a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, hey guys, she's really not okay right now. Please, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I know you guys deserve answers, but like, give me a second, you know? But it was just, I guess people were very upset with this statement. Now, according to sources, Carly's dad said Carly had been struggling with, quote, bad dreams and moments where some things would make her cringe/afraid, like loud noises. She had, quote, different triggers since she got back. He said the whole family is traumatized. So it sounds like they're working closely with the police. They said, we don't want to do anything that would hinder the investigation, you know, things like that. So were the police on the same page? Not really. And we actually got that impression long before the press conference. The police said a lot without saying a lot in the development of this case. They came out to say that they weren't looking for a child. They came out to say that no child has been reported missing. They came out to say that nobody else on this busy highway had seen that child. They also stated that after Carly was found, they were giving her time. A lot of people thought that was weird. You wouldn't say that in an investigation when a dangerous kidnapping perpetrator is on the loose. You wouldn't say that if there's a serial killer on the loose. Time is of the essence. Every law enforcement agency knows that. Finally, they gave a press conference July 19th on Wednesday, and they kind of paint an entirely different picture of what happened. And I just want to make it very clear. We don't know for sure at all what happened in these 49 hours that she was missing. Even law enforcement admit to that. Until we know, there is truly no way to say that one person is definitively guilty or not guilty or did something or didn't do something or telling the truth or not. Police have gotten it wrong before, but it's not looking good. They had so many different levels of law enforcement on this case, and so many damning things have come out in the press conference. Let's dissect everything. The police stated that they were still investigating and they wouldn't stop until they could account for all 49 hours that Carly was missing. And even though the investigation isn't over, they felt as if they owed it to the citizens to give them the facts of the case. The police stated that after Carly came back home, they were able to briefly talk to her about what had happened while she had been missing for the past 49 hours. She stated that while she was driving down the highway, she saw a little child on the side of the road, unattended. Okay, we know that. She called 911. She got out of her car to check on the child. She said that there was a man that was hiding in the shadows of the trees. He came out and started mumbling about how, oh, I'm just checking on the child too. But before Carly could do anything, the man picked her up and she screamed, dropped her phone, and she told the police he made her go over a fence, forced her into a car, and the next thing she remembers is being in an 18-wheeler in like the back of one of those big trucks. She said that there was a woman there too, but she only heard her voice and never saw the woman. She could also hear a baby crying. What did the man look like? She said that he had orange hair and a bald spot in the back. She said that she was able to get out of the truck, start running, but they caught her again. She was thrown into a car this time. They blindfolded her, but they told her that they didn't want to tie her up because they didn't want to leave any impressions or like marks on her wrists. They drove till they came to a house. They took her inside this house, they forced her to get naked, and she thinks that they took nude photos of her, but she doesn't remember any physical contact. She remembers the next day, the woman fed her cheese crackers and played with her hair. But Carly didn't remember anything else in 49 hours. At some point, she was put back into a car and she managed to escape, and she said that she was in the West Hoover area, so she just started running and running and running. She ran past through a lot of woods until she got home. So all of this is very vague. There's not actual descriptions of how she escaped and what the house looked like. Or 49 hours is a long, lengthy period of time, especially if you've been kidnapped by criminals. These people don't just hang out for 49 hours. I mean, most kidnapping cases, these people are doing things in 49 hours.
Yeah.
The day Carly came back home, investigators took note of visual wounds that they saw. So this is not to say that these are the only wounds that she has, and I don't know if police, I'm sure that they've obtained her medical records, but from the press conference and from this initial interview with Carly when she got home, the officer said that she had a small injury to her lip, and she stated that her head hurt. Other things that were kind of odd is that she had $107 in cash that was stuffed in her right sock. So it sounds like what everyone else thought was gonna happen, you know, she was abducted by human traffickers that lured her in with a toddler, and maybe they were amateurs, or maybe they didn't realize that this would cause such a national uproar, so they freaked out and let her go, or they let her escape somehow. Well, during the press conference, the chief of Hoover Police revealed they went through Carly's phone. Secret Service was actually involved in the analysis of Carly's phone because it was left in the grass, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Carly
That's crazy.
Yeah, that Secret Service was involved?
Yeah, and her phone was working and
Secret
all that?
Service.
Okay.
Carly made a lot of questionable internet searches. July 11th, 2 days before she went missing, she searched, "Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert?" July 13th, the day she went missing, she searched, "How to take money from a register without being caught."
What the fuck?
What?
Birmingham bus station. One-way bus
The
ticket from Birmingham
searches,
to Nashville,
embarrassing
departure date July
searches.
13th. And lastly, the one that the internet has been up in arms about, the movie Taken. Yeah, okay.
Wow.
It's a classic, but maybe if you guys are international listeners, the movie Taken, It's the I'll find you. That one, yeah. It's about a 17-year-old girl that gets kidnapped in Paris, and her father is like an ex-CIA agent who does everything to find her. He does, and he exposes a huge, like, human trafficking market for the elite in the process. There were other searches too, computer searches that were made at Carly's place of work. They said things like maximum age for an Amber Alert. Police said that there were other searches on Carly's phone that quote, shed light on her mindset. But because of respect for her privacy, the police have not released those statements or those searches.
That's so embarrassing. Like,
there's more. As for the night that she went missing, we get a few more details from law enforcement.
for your
So she left
searches
work
to
like
go
we mentioned.
public.
CCTV cameras show that she took a dark-colored robe from her workplace. It's kind of insinuated that she stole it, so I don't know. She took toilet paper and other items belonging to the business when she left. She ordered the Mediterranean food, picked it up, and then she went to Target like we said, and we get a more precise description of what she bought. She bought granola bars and Cheez-Its. She stayed in the parking lot for a minute before heading back to drive home. She was on the phone with people she knew until she hung up to call the police about the child. Now, most of this we already knew, but the alarming thing that comes out is her purse and the Mediterranean food was found in her car, her wig and her phone were found in the grass outside of the car, but the robe, the toilet paper roll that she took from work, amongst other things, and the granola bars and Cheez-Its from Target were not in her car.
What if she ate it?
No wrappers were in her car. So it's...
Okay, she never had the opportunity to trash those things.
Exactly, yeah. So
she still had it on her, basically. Okay.
And if you're being kidnapped, I don't know if your kidnapper is like, hold on, grab your Cheez-Its.
What kind of rope are you talking about?
Because she works at a day spa, like a medical spa. So I'm thinking maybe it's like one of those back ropes that they put on before they like massage you.
Got it.
They were not in the car. They were not anywhere near the car. So people thought that was really odd. Like, if you're getting kidnapped, typically the kidnapper is not like, let me rifle through your car first. And if they would, why wouldn't they take your valuables, like your cash, your wallet, versus granola bars?
Right.
It sounds...
But why would someone do this thing, I guess?
To a lot of people, their speculation is that she planned the kidnapping and she needed food. She needed toilet paper, maybe a change of clothes.
But why, right?
Okay, so there is why out there, and I'm not actually going to go into it because it's really crazy. I've seen some crazy whys out there that it's speculating that she wanted to make her boyfriend jealous, that she wanted her boyfriend to be concerned about her, that she was flunking out of nursing school, that her parents were too strict. Like, I don't know. There's so many speculations. None of them have been verified because it's all people being like, oh, I know them, or I know a friend who knows them. And this is what they said, right? So we don't know if these people are making up lies for attention. We don't know. But I can only imagine when it comes out, it'll just be weird. Yeah. Another thing is, police released in the press conference, like I said, that she drove 600 yards after she told 911 that she was going to follow the child until police got there. And they're saying a barefoot kid, a 3-year-old, running the length of 6 football fields in the wooded area, not even flat terrain. Skeptical, you know? Now, police also stated that they asked for a second interview, and Carly has since declined. Her parents have stated that she is not in the right mental or physical space because of the trauma. Authorities stated that they have no reports of toxicology reports. Whether they ordered one or not, I'm not sure. They also stated that they at least have no knowledge of any mental illness history. And I think before this press conference, myself included, I was like, okay, let's hold off on making any assumptions. Just because something is unlikely or crazy doesn't make it untrue. But the press conference so far has shed kind of a damning light on the situation. And add to that, even before the press conference, there were a lot of people that were already doubting what happened to her, or at least doubting that this was a human trafficking scheme. A few huge names that have dedicated much of their time to ending human trafficking have come forward to talk about the case. Some more directly than others, but the end message was pretty much, it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely. Many activists stated that the idea that human traffickers would use a baby to lure unsuspecting helpful women to be trafficked just isn't practical. They said the sad part about human trafficking that most people don't want to come to terms with is it's done by people you know. That new person that you started dating, your family member, your friend. They will lure you to be human trafficked since they already have that established foundation of trust. It would cause too much of a scene to kidnap someone for human trafficking, especially someone that, unfortunately, it's maybe the kidnappings for human trafficking are more common in different parts of the world or in different communities of potentially sex workers could be huge victims, runaway teens are huge victims. But when you're talking about a 25-year-old established woman who is driving a red Mercedes, it's too much attention. At the end of the day, human traffickers have a business, quote. They're evil. They're evil business, right? And they like to protect their, quote, business. So they're not going to take that big of a risk unless they have to. I mean, leaving her car there on the highway with her wig and phone left behind, that's a huge risk. It's not even a, oh, she's 25, maybe she didn't want to be home anymore. It's clear there was foul play. Nobody would look at that and say, she's an adult, she just wanted to do her thing. So a lot of these activists said, it just isn't in tune with what we've been dealing with. And the CEO of the National Children's Alliance stated, not about this case in particular, but in general, we want to believe that people trafficking children are unknown, nefarious, shadowy creatures. It makes us uncomfortable to think that some of these things could happen in our own communities, in our own schools, with people who you know. Sabrina Thulander, communications director of Polaris, the nonprofit that runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline, said, as far as we are aware, this is not a tactic that traffickers use. She said that if this is true, if the traffickers use a baby to lure a victim, it would be contrary to how traffickers almost always operate in the United States. She continued, abduction is not completely unheard of, but it is very likely. So if it's not human trafficking, which with the new press conference, I don't know where you stand, but let's try to entertain something did happen to her, right? Some people thought maybe it wasn't a random abduction by a stranger, maybe it was someone that she knew that followed her, or maybe someone at work that roofied her and she hallucinated into thinking that she saw a child. They followed her home and thought this is the perfect opportunity. The theory has a hiccup when CCTV cameras showed no other car pulling up, and the police said that they tracked her from her workplace to the highway, and there's no evidence that she was being followed by any vehicles. So, again, I think with the Google searches, both theories are pretty hard to entertain right now. So the next two theories would be more on par, which is, did Carly have a psychological breakdown? Maybe there were things going on in her life, or she had a mental condition that we, and maybe even she herself was not aware of, that led her to hallucinate, black out, or go into a full state of psychosis. Maybe she fully believes her version of events. And again, legally clarifying, I'm not saying her version of events isn't true, but maybe she believes everything to be true. We don't know, right? We don't know. We don't know, and I think we'll find out, but as of right now, we don't know. There's a different variation of this theory, though. Is this just a hoax? Did she plan it? Is this another Sherry Papini? Her name has been coming up a lot, and for context, we've talked about her before on this pod, and we're going to link it in the description, but Sherry Papini was a mom of two. She was the wife to Keith Papini from Northern California. She went missing. She went for a run and vanished. Authorities found her phone with the headphones wrapped around it on her running trail and like a big chunk of her hair on the ground. She went missing for weeks, and the whole nation was looking for her. They were like, oh my God, this poor mother, this poor wife, we were praying for her, we're grieving for her and her poor family, and then she makes it back alive. And people are like thanking the Lord, but they were also very surprised, you know? She told the world that she was being held captive by two Hispanic women that were honestly racist stereotypes of Hispanic women. Turned out to be a lie. She was staying with an ex-boyfriend. She had planned her whole disappearance and, quote, reappeared on the side of the road wearing restraints. She was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison and required to pay more than $300,000 in restitution.
Holy.
I will say, though, Sherry's story is, look, whether it connects to this case or not, it was insane. Like, balls to the walls, marbles gone out the door. Sherry actually branded herself literally with a hot brand of a Bible verse, like an Exodus verse on her shoulder. She had bruises all over her body. Her nose was broken. She did it to herself. Her hair was chopped off. She lost a big chunk of weight. Her weight was like 87 pounds when she was released from her captors, quote. So she really, really worked to sell the story that she had been kidnapped and abused. She was gone for 22 days. So if it's not psychosis or some other sort of somewhat explainable mental health condition, a lot of people believe that Carly might have faked her disappearance for whatever reason. whether it's like Sherry, in the sense that Sherry just really didn't want to deal with her problems anymore. She was like, okay, I'm kind of over my life. Or some people think that Carly wanted attention. Some people think that Carly wanted attention not from the nation. She probably didn't think it was gonna get this big, if that's the theory we're running with, entertaining right now.
So when she was searching like about Amber Alert, she's trying, like the Google search is...
I guess the speculation with those Google searches, and this is pure speculation, we have truly no idea what she was thinking, is she's trying to see if she would qualify for an Amber Alert, and people think that she doesn't want to qualify for an Amber Alert.
Shit.
So
Okay,
I
well,
think
whatever.
her idea, if this is the theory we're entertaining, this is alleged.
I mean, there's only two things, right? Either she qualifies or she doesn't qualify
Yeah.
when she searches.
Mhm.
So either she wants the attention from as an
Yeah.
Amber Alert, or she doesn't want attention as an
Yeah.
Amber Alert.
Yeah.
Right? Either or.
Yeah, I think,
I mean, either way is weird.
see, I don't want to say she faked it. I don't want to believe she faked it. Well, okay, I don't know, because any way that you go with this, it's bad. If it was a mental breakdown, I hope she gets the help that she needs, and I hope that the public is very soft with their reception, because mental health is a serious issue. But if she faked it for something that wasn't like a full-blown psychosis, it's really not well thought out at all. Like, if you're gonna leave your door like that, if you're gonna say that there's a child on the side of the highway, and you're gonna think to yourself that law enforcement isn't gonna care, is kind of crazy. Yeah. But I will say that there are some people that have gone off the deep end on this theory. People were saying that they knew that she was lying about this whole thing because she said that the boy on the side of the road was like 3 or 4 years old. Which I know what you're thinking. What does that even mean? But people were referencing a man named McClish, who is often interviewed as an expert of sorts for crime shows. And I just thought this was interesting. Again, I'm not trying to make this like a valid point, but he stated that the number 3 is the liar's number.
The
He
liar's
said he doesn't
number.
really know why.
What?
But after all of his investigative work, if anyone gives him the number 3, so 3 men attacked me. It was like 3 p.m. They stole $300. He said he always does a double take. He doesn't say that they're lying, but he just pays extra attention to the rest of their details. Which I just thought was kind of, what? I didn't even know, right? So, I don't know. If it turns out she's lying, I think it would just really, really suck. I mean, not just the fact that she lied, but the fact that a lot of not-so-great people will use this as some sort of argument to not care about missing women, and particularly missing women of color. I also can't imagine, if it is proven that she lied, what Anaya's mother would feel if this turned out.
Oh shit!
The police were asked
That's
during the press
close.
conference if they were thinking of pressing charges against Carly Russell, and they stated that they were focusing first on the 49 unaccounted hours. They haven't even discussed pressing charges, but the energy that is being given by news media and everyone, it seems like, if it turns out to be a hoax, turns to be lost. A reporter asked the chief of police during the press conference, there has been a concern in the community that if this turns out not to be a true story, that the next woman, a young woman of color, goes missing, it wouldn't be taken seriously. How do you respond to that? The chief of police said, I would say that we investigate every crime to the fullest, just like we have this one. And regardless of the results of this investigation, I say we hold them to that. And again, this is just the information we have right now, and yeah, it doesn't appear to be looking good for Carly. But even the police chief said, I'm the type of guy that says never say never. So again, legally, I'm not saying Carly lied, I'm not saying this is a hoax, but these are just the facts we have right now and how netizens have responded to said information. So on that note, I'd like to end this pod with a note. There is a website called Our Black Girls, run by journalist and activist Erica Marie Rivers. The website focuses on often untold stories of black girls and women who have gone missing or were found dead under very suspicious, mysterious circumstances. She writes about black girls and women who don't get space on the front pages, like Carly Russell did, or on social media when they disappeared. And she ends every single article the same way, which is she is
Can
our
I get a
sister
repair,
and her life
please?
Look who
matters.
it is.
So,
What?
regardless of what this investigation...
I'm not surprised that your vehicle's smoking.
Oh, look who it is. I did not recognize you in the beginning.
Do you still work here? You work at Hayes, right?
I work at Hayes now.
No good.
What do you mean?
You left us.
I've been with Flywheels for over a year. It's time for a change. How are you? Haven't seen you in a bit.
I'm good. Yeah, I've been chilling.
Hmm. You just gonna stay here?
What do you mean?
Are you just gonna work?
Yeah, I'm pelting for the first time in my life.
Ah. Alright. Ooh, there's a good second. Some moment. There we go.
Oh my god.
What? Easy access.
Your door fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Easy access. Oh, do you know anything about the safes that are in the houses now?
What's that, sorry, Raven?
The safe boxes that are in the houses.
What about them?
You know how to open them.
I would assume a drill.
Dude, we've tried everything from drill to just everything. Bolt cutters, knife. I even tried to do the crack safe action.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Did you know about the garages that you can look into now?
No.
Yes, it's not only the house, it's the garages you could look into, like you can break into.
Mm-hmm.
It
Oh.
pays out so much better than the house itself.
People typically won't keep some valuables in the garage, right? So you can think of it that way.
There's a lot of games, the RTXs, there's even like throwable balls. There's Pokeballs, baseballs, apples that you throw.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's just so many different things in there. You could literally find some car parts as well, carbon fiber. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, I'm doing car parts because I need fiber cloth. So, bye.
Have fun.
Will unravel with Carly Russell, and whether it was faked or not, and whether or not she will face charges. I hope this opens up a conversation of how little press coverage typically missing people of color get in the media. Because yes, Carly's case got national attention, but there's so many missing black women who get no attention. And yes, Carly's case is pretty shady and controversial right now, but she has absolutely nothing to do with the next black woman that goes missing. And we should just be as passionate about finding the next one as we were about finding Carly Russell. So with that being said, please stay safe, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys on Sunday for the precinct. Bye.
Where is that one that about the girlfriend? Which one was it? I think it was with the Explore with us, but Where's your girlfriend? Let's see.
You're possessed. Just the way you act, you know? And he agreed. Like, yeah, I do feel like I have two horns coming out. I feel like I have the devil in me. And he, you know, it's like he was growing, like, demon. And his face got red.
In the early hours of June 9th, 2013, dispatchers received a chilling and nearly incomprehensible 911 call.
Well, you need medical, police, or fire. Okay, meow, meow, meow. Hello? Okay, you're gonna have to stop crying for or calm down so I can understand what you're saying. Your name? And what did your boyfriend do?
No!
He started beating me hard.
Seriously?
And is he there now? Yeah,
Why does the Titan look that on the bottom?
He's about to die. He's not baby. He says, I need you here right now. And I'm trying to get someone out to you, ma'am. Are there any weapons involved? No, ma'am. Okay. It's just me and him. He just drinks a lot. He just attacked me. And he's about to die. I was just training him, and I couldn't find the phone, and somebody called me. Okay, so is he beating you up, or is he about to die? Yeah, he's beating me up, and
The following never-before-seen footage has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney and former criminal prosecutor, a licensed clinical psychologist, and a former licensed professional counselor. The Park Lane is a high-rise set of luxury apartments located in Houston, Texas. As officers arrived on the scene, they could hear the sound of a woman weeping within apartment 18B. At their knock, the door opened to reveal 44-year-old Anna Trujillo. As the doorway's foyer faced a wall, the officer didn't have an immediate view of what lay inside. However, upon entering, he was greeted by an unforgettable scene. Ahead of him, beyond a set of luggage and suitcases, was an adjoining hallway. Lying in that hallway was the body of a man. The carpet by his head saturated a deep crimson. He didn't appear to be breathing. Cuts, bruises, and other abrasions were evident on his neck, torso, and arms. Yet the most unusual detail may have been the single size 9 blue suede stiletto left shoe resting near his head, adorned with blood and strands of sandy hair. The body matched the description on the man's identification card, revealing that he was 59-year-old Alf Stephen Anderson, a highly skilled research professor and biochemist at the University of Houston's Center for Nuclear Receptors and Cell Signaling. When asked what had happened, Anna seemed dazed, but finally told officers, "He was holding me and wouldn't let go." She claimed they had been arguing, but how had a simple argument reached such a fatal conclusion? Investigators knew there must be more to the story. The responding officers had Anna sit against the wall out of the way as they began to survey the scene. What they discovered there tips the scales of the bizarre, setting this case apart from others while sparking a media sensation. The officers discovered a collage, presumably an homage to the professor from friends and colleagues upon the occasion of his birthday. Ironically, for reasons you'll find out later, near the center of the frame is a page that reads "Shoe Fetish," with an arrow pointing to a picture of a woman's shoe. Other cutouts of women's shoes are prominent, many featuring stiletto heels. In the hallway, within the general area of the body, a men's pair of shoes had been placed against the wall, and next to them was the stiletto's clean twin. Moving to the living room, detectives found a new set of mysteries. On the floor in front of the sofa was a wad of hair, seemingly a match to Stefan. Two additional clumps rested upon the couch itself. On one end of the sofa was Anna's purse. Within it was an ominous omen. A tarot card book, open to the page describing the card representing death. Stuck to the corner of the book was a sugar packet, possibly corresponding to the white granules sprinkled across the glass coffee table, which was littered with a set of mysterious handwritten notes, of which was signed Anna. One note reads, "May the shield of truth protect you. May the sword of justice judge. Let the pen be mightier than the sword." Another says, "I ask for you and your spirit and soul to be at peace, your mind calm, your heart pure strength." Detectives cuffed Anna and led her outside to photograph her to create a visual account of evidence, such as her clothing, bloodstains, and any injuries she may have sustained. While she exhibited bruising in places, she didn't complain of any pain or injuries except for her knee. But as this was under her clothing, there was little that investigators could do to explore this
Super
issue at
sussed
that
out
time.
again.
When this process was complete, they loaded
So
Anna into a
sussed
police
out.
cruiser and set off for the station. Detectives had a lot of questions that needed answers. Was this a case of self-defense or cold-blooded murder? As she was the only witness able to provide a first-hand account of the events, they knew that Anna's dazed mind held the knowledge that would prove key to understanding the tragic death of Stephen Anderson. However, they were rendered speechless by the wild and twisted narrative of Anna Trujillo, aka Anna Fox. This is 44-year-old Anna Trujillo, recognized by locals as the host of her own community access television show, and now as a suspect in the death of Stephen Anderson. As she awaits the detectives, she sits in a slouched position with her head down, hands resting between her legs in a protective gesture. She begins to move her legs, which is a release for nervous energy.
Here you go, Anna.
Anna barely looks up at the sergeant. This is unusual behavior, as most people make eye contact with people as they enter a room. The sergeant leaves for a short time, returning with Detective Evans to start the interrogation.
All right, Anna. Remember me? I'm Brian Evans with HPG on the side.
The detectives have Anna's chair facing away from the table, so there are no barriers to prevent them from observing her entire body. Nonverbal communication can be very useful, and the absence of any barriers has the benefit of making a suspect feel exposed and ill at ease. The atmosphere is stark, with no distractions, to enhance the feeling of an unwelcome environment. The goal is to make the suspect feel uneasy, as it makes them dependent on comforting factors only the interrogator can provide them, such as food, water, cigarettes, and compliments. The interrogator wants as much leverage over the suspect as possible.
What we wanted to do is meet with you in hopes of getting your side of what happened last night there. And we need to try to, for our understanding, if you could and would, explain your relationship to Stefan.
Detective Evans leans forward to meet her at her level. This may be an attempt to appear less intimidating. He asks about her relationship with Stefan to get her talking, but also to establish a baseline for her speech, cadence, tone, body language, and mannerisms, so they have a basis for comparison when they reach more sensitive topics.
Started seeing each other, and he asked me to move in, and he asked me to marry him.
In a short span, she has repeated "he really liked me" twice. It may be important for Anna to make it known that she's well-liked, indicating that she enjoys being the center of attention and may exhibit narcissistic traits. On the other hand, Anna may want to make it known that Stefan really liked her in order to make herself appear innocent, as she's trying to make it sound like there were no issues or hostility between them.
He wanted to marry me, and I said, I think that we should live together first. So he agreed. And so he asked me to move in with him, and I did. And ever since then, I've been staying with him.
If this is true, it had to be a recent development, as the Park Lane apartment registry only listed Anna as a guest for June 8th and 9th. What this means is that they likely only recently moved in together, or hadn't been living together long, which is why she was still only listed as a guest. This detail could cast some doubt on Anna's claims about the seriousness of their relationship. For the next 30 minutes, Anna talks nonstop about a whole series of relationships in which she paints herself as a hard-working, blind-sided victim who eventually decides to escape the abuse before going into a new relationship and beginning the cycle anew.
He pushed me, he hit me against the wall, and I cried. I begged him. I tried everything. And he took me, and he slammed me. I met my boyfriend, And then so he knew the story and everything, and he said he would take care of me. And then he became physical because I wanted to leave, and he's 6'6". You know, what can I do?
She portrays herself quite positively while depicting her partners as being flawed.
I did it all. I was a wife, a career, took care of my girls, and from the house I could. I did everything, and it just seems like it just wasn't enough.
Incessant talking could be an indicator of personality disorder or a deliberate attempt to stall detectives from questions about why she's really here. None of this information is relevant to Stefan's death, and it seems Anna has a hard time staying on topic. Nonetheless, this information could help investigators determine whether these men are abusing her
probably have to
or
go
whether she follows
soon.
a pattern of asserting potentially false accusations.
It finally clicked in my head when he held me and he made love to me, and I didn't want to. And I was like, you're mine, you're everything. You belong to me. And I said, yes, of course. And he said, I want everything. I want your spirit. And then he whispered in my ear, he goes,
The detectives have exhibited seemingly unending patience as she goes through one dramatic story after another, unprompted.
I went to the Bermuda China. I've done everything for you to love me, and you still don't love me. And I was like...
The officers are acquiring an incredibly detailed baseline of how she chooses to present herself. It's interesting that being in the situation that she's in, she would rather talk about past boyfriends than provide any kind of explanation for what happened with Stefan. It's important to note that this interrogation is unlike many others.
Come on,
The
this
main
ain't
difference
Macca's
is that this
drive-thru.
isn't
Let's
a
go,
case
let's
of
go.
who did it, but a question of what really happened between Anna and
Figure out what I want to
Stefan
order
that night.
first.
For this reason, the majority of the tactics the detectives usually use during interrogations aren't needed. Because she wasn't denying killing Stefan, the detectives just wanted her to keep talking, as the more she does, the more they have to use to discredit her. This is why they're so silent and don't ask her many questions.
Anyone in my soul? I said, no. No, like, not my soul. You can have my body or me or whatever you want. You cannot have my soul. It belongs to God, right?
Wait,
And
where
so I
is
lived with
this?
James, and he became my friend, and he took care of me because I was afraid to go, so, you know, I loved him as my friend.
I do not want to do bully at all.
Yeah.
Up until 2012.
Yeah. He cared for me, and he loved me, you know.
So you started to care more.
Yeah, oh, of course, yes.
More than friends.
Yes, yes, yeah. He loved me, took care of me, and, you know, he loved me, and I told him that I could not love him because I did not feel anything for him.
Right.
You know, but he was there, and then I didn't want to have sex with him, but after a while, he kept, like, on and on and on and on and on, and then, you know, I gave in after a while, because then I said, well, he's taking care of me or whatever, you know. He's always loved me like that, but I had no love. I couldn't love anyone.
Right.
The friend Anna has been talking about is James Jimmy Wells. Investigators were able to reach out to him to learn more about the relationship.
Anything beyond that, dating relationship, talks of marriage, talks of kids. I'm just doing this up.
Actually, she did become a child at one time. We had several times we weren't serious.
Okay.
We were good friends. But she became a child one time, and but she suffered a miscarriage.
Okay.
She never mentions the pregnancy and subsequent miscarriage that James discussed during his interview. Instead, moving on to the story of her next relationship and a digression into her experimentations with holistic medicine before returning to the topic at hand.
And Stefan, you know, he was very beautiful. I like intelligence. He's respectable, and he treated me very good, and he liked my art. I showed him the beauty of art, the healing, and everything, and that's it.
Before we go into any depth in talking about Stefan, I want to hear how this relationship developed with you and Stefan.
Yeah, that's it.
Before we do that, though, we have to take care of a formality. in order for us to talk about that.
Okay.
Are you willing to talk to us about your relationship with Stefan, how it developed, and how it basically unfolded? How
Are you
you?
asking me if I'm willing to?
Well, we have to go through a formality where I have to read you a statement and make sure that you understand the statement before we can discuss anything about you and Stefan last night and your relationship.
Finally, an hour into the interview, Anna gets to the victim. The detective needs to ensure that anything she says in relation to the crime is admissible in court, so he wants to Mirandize her. The sergeant claims the procedure is just a formality, so as not to alert her to the seriousness of waiving these rights.
Is that something you're willing to do, willing to agree, so that we can continue to have our
Are you
discussion?
saying, do I need an attorney? Are you saying...
Well, that's part of it.
Homicide. He died?
Despite his efforts, this declaration sets off warning bells for Anna. Even though they told her from the beginning that they were homicide detectives, Anna acts like she's just now learning that her actions led to his death. The surprise she's trying to convey at this point is likely disingenuous.
Yeah, Stefan is dead.
I was giving him mouth to mouth.
Her response to the news of Stefan's death is extremely suspicious, as she has a little reaction and even gets a little defensive.
Yeah, that was relayed on the call to 911. The fact that you were performing CPR.
So are you saying?
No, what I'm telling you is that I want to continue talking to you about you and your relationship with Stefan.
Yeah.
I want to know from the very beginning how it developed. Now would be a good time for a break if you would like to take a break. I actually need to take a break myself. Do you need to go to the bathroom or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
The interview has now reached the actual interrogation segment, and since Anna is expressing an adverse reaction to the impending Mirandization, the detective calls for a break. He likely wants to give her some time and distance from this negativity.
Sorry about that. Okay, it's 5.
Okay, let me finish my beer. I'm sorry.
Go right in.
No problem. Take some time.
I probably need some sugar.
Huh?
I need some sugar.
Okay, are you diabetic? I'm sure you haven't had anything to eat.
Well, there's some candy bars in there.
Yeah.
There's like oatmeal cookies, cinnamon rolls. What do you?
Candy bar.
No candy bar.
My thyroid is hyper.
Okay, yeah. It's the same way. Yeah.
While waiting for Sergeant Triplett to return, Detective Evans asks a few questions unrelated to Stefan that may provide some more insight into their suspect.
Have you ever been formally diagnosed with any psychological problems or psychiatric problems? It's just something that you know that has developed because of abuse that you've sustained in relationships throughout your life, or at least throughout the latter part of it.
Yeah, no, my mom and my sister were concerned, and they didn't know. So I did have an evaluation done by someone in Waco to put them at peace or whatever.
No formal diagnosis.
Here, he likely wants to record any potential mental defects or insanity defenses she might allege, or lack thereof, to help build his case. Anna begins to eat the candy as Detective Evans catches his partner up on what he missed. She seems rather unconcerned and at ease sitting there, chewing her food and elaborating on her suspected thyroid issue. But then she says this.
Is there any way I can change my pants or anything that's making me sick and looking for blood?
This could be another stalling tactic, as it appears Anna is doing everything under her power to keep from talking about Stefan.
We might be able to get you a white Tyvek suit. You know, have you seen those before? They almost look like a lab suit. You know, the clean lab suits, the white, made by DuPont. We have those in our upstairs in our CSU offices. Yeah, it's just, we Would you like me to try to get you something like that? Okay, let me do this.
She's been sitting in these pants for hours, so it's peculiar that it's just now bothering her, especially since she's been casually chatting and eating candy bars. At times, she was even resting her hands atop the bloodstains with no appearance of disgust. While the detective gets Anna something to cover her pants, let's take a look at what we've learned about her from the interrogation so far. Throughout each of Anna's relationships, there seems to be a common thread. She locates a rescuer who's willing to take care of her, says he's a good man, but when he allegedly suddenly and unexpectedly develops problems, such as instability, abuse, or obsessiveness, she becomes a victim.
He became obsessed with me. He thought he became possessed or something because he was breathing really hard. He just became obsessive, compulsive.
When this happens, she eventually finds the strength to get away into the arms of the next man that rescues her, repeating the cycle.
Like a year or a half later, sometime, my second husband, I became friends. And I met my boyfriend.
At this point, the former rescuer in her mind becomes her persecutor. This is classic thinking behavior of someone with borderline personality disorder. Although to our knowledge, she's not been diagnosed with it. Left alone in the room with Sergeant Triplett, Anna makes no attempt to speak to him as she has with Detective Evans. She definitely seems to have triangulated which of the two will be her potential rescuer in this situation. The pair sit in silence for a few long minutes before Detective Evans returns.
I've got this suit coming down here. Well, you can actually put it on, or you can just drape it over your lap, whatever you want to do.
The investigation comes to a temporary halt as detectives wait for Anna to dress. When the medical examiner's report from the autopsy of Stefan's body came back, the official cause of death was reported to be blunt force head and facial trauma.
Oh shit.
The coroner also reported incidents of blunt force trauma to his neck, torso, and extremities, as there were new injuries along the arms and wrists. Needless to say, Stefan's head suffered the most grievous wounds. There were 10 lacerations and additional abrasions and contusions, bringing the tally to 25 separate injuries, not counting those inflicted to the rest of the body. In the interview room, Anna is now dressed, so detectives once again broach the topic of Anna's Miranda rights.
We're not going to blindside you here with anything, okay? We're here to try to understand things. But in order for us to talk to you about certain things, you have to understand your rights, okay? And this is just a formality that we have to go through, okay? All right, I'm going to read these to you one at a time. And then after each statement, I will ask you if you understand them.
The officers continue reading through each, ensuring that she understands so that there can be no allegations of misconduct.
Why would I speak to you? Or why should I wait and not say anything and have my attorney present, I suppose, if I need him?
That's a personal choice. Yeah.
These statements show that Anna is not as out of it as she presented to be at the beginning of the interrogation. The fact that she's considering the risks of speaking to the detectives without an attorney present shows that her thought process is intact. This tells us that the 1 hour of stories and tangents could be a manipulation tactic.
Why would you be stuck?
I suppose because from this point on, whatever I say without counsel, then they can... Am I being charged with anything?
No, ma'am, at this time you are not charged with anything.
When she asks this, she reaches out with her hands, palms facing up, generally a sign that someone is trying to appear open.
So, I suppose that it's going to be more beneficial. Okay. So if I agree...
Let me explain this to you. You are a very intelligent person, okay?
What did you say?
Well, I can ascertain the fact that you're an intelligent person. You're a very articulate person as well.
Anna clearly relishes in the detective's compliment, even in these circumstances, indicating she may be self-absorbed. The detective could potentially use flattery as an effective method to appeal to her.
We're not here to deceive you in any way. Okay?
I have been hoping I suppose this is what it is. If I openly talk to you, because I did not want him to die. You know? If I be quiet and don't say anything, does that make me seem like I'm guilty or I'm hiding something because I'm not saying anything until my attorney gets here? Or it doesn't make me seem like I have nothing to hide and my innocence and it shouldn't matter who's here or who's not if I open up? Or, do you understand? It's like,
It doesn't do one or the other. It's a choice. It's a right. That's why we read you the rights so that we make certain that you understand.
Anna claims she didn't want Stefan to die, but she's only expressed concern for herself thus far. She also seems unable to make decisions about herself, such as this one, without guidance. This can be a sign of dependent personality disorder. Someone suffering from this disorder has a constant need to be in a relationship and seeks out new ones as soon as the previous one ends, constantly needing someone else to take care of them. However, to our knowledge, she's never been diagnosed with this disorder. She intertwines her fingers in her lap here, as if trying to appear meek and small.
Would it make you feel better to talk about it or not to talk about it?
Oh no! Oh shit!
While seemingly an effective technique, the detective's question here is questionable and possibly manipulative, as she's concerned with the legal aspects of speaking with them, and he addresses the emotional benefits instead. For the next 5 minutes, Anna goes off on yet another tangent, revisiting her past to continue painting the picture of herself as a constant victim.
I've been broken mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And I realize if I don't get up and I don't eat, I'm gonna die.
Finally, the detective speaks and begins to play with her
Wow,
own body with the intention
Raken!
of making her
Wow,
feel
you
like
little
she believes
lurking
everything
piece of
she's been
shit.
telling them. This approach appears to work.
Dang.
It took you a while, mentally and physically, to get you to a point where you finally said enough's enough. I've got to get up. I have to do something. I have to start living my life again. Okay? We understand that.
So you're saying that you do want to talk to us about last night?
This is
Stefan's
unfortunate.
relationship with Stefan. You want to waive your rights in order to talk to us?
She performs self-soothing gestures with her hands, rubbing one atop the other, signs of elevated stress. She likely realizes at this point she can't get around talking about it. The detectives have done an excellent job guiding her to this point, as she was clearly on the fence. Nonetheless, the investigators spend nearly 5 more minutes trying to get a definitive answer to this question.
So you do wish to talk to us. So you're waiving your rights so that you can talk to us.
With official confirmation, the detectives can now question Anna without representation.
Just start from the beginning with you
Hey,
and Stefan,
Stitch baby.
how the two of you began your relationship. And
I was simply met at the lobby.
You know, just chilling on the Sonora Freeway.
I was interested in him because he's a biochemist. And because of the work that I've been doing to myself, living as a self-interest, all I did was study some things that I've been through. I was interested in him because of his knowledge and his wisdom. I wanted to write a book with, or a manual to unpack. That was my interest. I am not interested in anyone romantic. I told him that I admire him. I was interested in the work that he did, and the reason that I was wanting to see him or be with them was because of his work.
Anna seems to view some of her relationships based on how the other person can help her.
They befriend me and they're good, they trust me and everything, and then they end up wanting to be romantic with me, and I don't see them that way. I'm too loving. I care too much, and I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I'm an artist. I'm in love with love. I love to create. I want to create love and beauty and things, and I want to see you as a being. I don't want to see you as a man, and I don't need that type of relationship.
As usual, Anna seems to struggle with staying on topic, choosing instead to talk about herself. She's leaning in toward the detective as she speaks. Often, it's the detective who's the one invading the suspect's space, instead of the other way around. Her body language is conveying a level of closeness and intimacy that is unusual given the circumstances.
That is messed up. My interest in them was not romantic. I always want
You
to
heartless piece of shit, trucker. Stop honking the horn and help me out.
With all of these men, but often living with them, indicating that she was likely using them. Based on what she says, she may be incapable of love or attachment to people, suggesting that her behaviors align with a person who has antisocial personality disorder with strong narcissistic traits. There's a lot of overlap between narcissism and antisocial personality. But people with just pure narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, typically do not commit murder. It's when antisocial personality traits are in the mix that the person often commits more serious violations of the safety and well-being of others.
I told him, I'm like, you know what? I'm very comfortable where I'm at. I said, and if all you want to do is, play around or toy with me or whatever, I'm not interested. Because I'm very comfortable where I am, and I'm comfortable. I do not need to have someone romantically, and if you just want a pastime or something, I'm not your girl, but find somebody else, because what I want is real. I want a real relationship. I want to have a man, and I want to go to the man.
Crap. Anna is losing a lot of credibility with her stories. First, she states that she has no interest in Stefan, yet when he expresses interest in her, she wants something serious.
And as we started, everything was good. But then he did drink quite a bit. I didn't think anything of, he's accomplished. He was about to retire. He just wants to live his life, He just, it's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I said, but from the beginning, I'm like, if I'm going to see you as my husband, then I need for you to do certain things, right? I want you to. He was going to start exercising. I never told him, because he was out of shape, completely out of shape. He was red. He was puffy. He'd been drinking a lot, and then through the course, he also told me that he suffers from depression. He gets very depressed. But that took a long time for him to even say that to me.
It is interesting that rather than establishing herself as a battered woman, as with the other relationships, Anna presents herself more as Stefan's caretaker. Nonetheless, the information she provides about his health may be important. Since Stefan was older and in poor health, if he did in fact attack her, it may have been possible for her to overpower him. Listing his numerous health issues, Anna tells the investigators that Stefan had an infection in his eyes, as well as an abscess in his back.
So I worked on him, and I found the abscess in his back, and it was huge. And so I broke it. And through the healing, I did it, and so I took all that infection. It was an infection, and it was getting close to his spinal cord already. And that's why he couldn't see, he couldn't hear, and it was already, he was dying. He was dying. In other words, he was not taking care of himself. So I started, taking him out, taking care of him, going out, trying to eat on a regular basis, out, make him walk, get him out of his routine.
Even if true, Anna's detailed descriptions of all these negative features seems inappropriate for a loved one that has just died and begins to reveal more about how she really feels about him. Naturally, Anna's story is just one perspective. Officers want to acquire varied points of view to determine the truth. Since Stefan is unable to speak for himself, they seek out others who knew him and interacted with him to speak to his character, while also learning more about Anna's reputation. One such witness is one of Stefan's closest friends.
In the beginning, I thought it was a perfectly normal relationship. But then both my wife and I started
Where is the EMS?
feel a little bit uncomfortable together with her.
Okay. Be open, be honest. Okay. When
Oh,
you say
I can hear.
uncomfortable, explain to me what do you mean by uncomfortable? Did she use bad language? Would she make rude gestures?
I think it was more like she said strange things.
Okay, such as?
And if there was a bottle of water or a glass of wine or something, she could say, "Yeah, do you see that fish in there?" And I said, "No, I don't think fish."
You don't. Okay.
After this peculiar revelation, the interviewing officer wants to further explore the dynamic between Anna and Stefan.
From my understanding from going through this entire case, everybody has told me that I've interviewed that Stefan always took care of Anna. He paid for everything. He took her everywhere. He did every single thing for her.
Yes.
Is that correct? He was always the guy that paid for everything.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
While Anna does acknowledge that Stefan was good to her, she doesn't sound particularly appreciative of this generosity.
He does not drive. He doesn't like to drive. And yet, we need things. We run out of things. And my license is expired because I didn't have my residency. So
I thought that was EMS. Was that not EMS that was flying over?
So I'm stuck. I don't drive. He completely became obsessed with me. He loved me. And he was like, I was his everything. And then I would look up and he would be staring at me. Or I wake up and I was sleeping and I wake up, he would be there, like staring at me. Then all of a sudden, I would go to sleep. And he would wake up. And he would wake up like a child. I'm just your baby, you're still here. I just want you to take care of me. He wake up like an infancy. I was like, God, weird to me. I don't like, and I do not want to be with a child. And he was like, come on, ooh, make love, or he get like, he wanted to make love and be like that. And he was like a little kid, and psychologically this messing me up. I was like.
In addition to contacting Stefan's friends, investigators went to Park Lane Apartments, Stefan's condominium complex, to learn more about both the victim and their suspect. There they met with the apartment's night concierge, who was present on the night of the murder.
Would you say you know by sight Anna Trujillo or possibly Anna Fox?
Yes, I know her by Anna.
You know her by Anna?
I remember when I first started working here, she came in with him. We were out. I guess we were apartments. She said that we were out. But anyway, she came over and spoke with me. It was real, real nice,
As Florence is familiar with each of them, the officer wants to get her perspective on their personalities to determine if Stefan seems like the type of man who could carry out an assault while also gauging Anna's credibility.
What do you recall, if anything, that stuck out about Mr. Anderson? His personality, or his demeanor, or the way that he treated you or other people?
Mr. Anderson was very nice. He was very quiet. He seemed like a real shy type person, real quiet. He always spoke. He was very cordial. The thing that stuck out with me about her is she seemed like she was high on something all the time. But she just I don't know, she just had this, when she would talk, she would kind of be like a slur, but she just seemed like she was high. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but her and him just didn't seem like a match to me. It was just odd.
While Florence seems unsure of the root of Anna's slurring, many witnesses, including her friend James Wells, stated that she was often highly intoxicated. He, of course, alleged that this was primarily the result of her adaptation to Stefan's lifestyle. Meanwhile, Anna continues to cast aspersions on Stefan's lifestyle and personality.
He wouldn't date for a long time. We go days without dating. I was like, we had to date. So he started getting better and made him shampoo his hair, started eating And then I finally like would break down and tell him, listen, Stefan, I'm not there yet. I don't feel. I feel that you're an older man, and I feel like I'm sleeping with my grandfather. That's not cool.
EMS finally here.
To get healthy and to get
yes,
good,
they're finally
so
here.
I can be attracted to you, so you can be my man. And so I told him, look, I need for you to go to the doctor because number one, you're waking up. You're either on some drugs. He would all of a sudden change. Obviously, I think he was using some type of drug, but he didn't want to admit it to me. But I don't know.
But impose that. Oh no! My car!
Ma'am, hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, what's happened, ma'am?
Can I not talk about it?
Okay, I'm just gonna say you maybe had a case of no seatbelt.
No comment.
No. Okay. Alright, you look like you've had a bit of a graze here. You hit the floor kind of hard. I'm just gonna apply some pressure to your arm here just to make sure it's not broken.
What
Can you
happened to
feel
your
that?
arm? Yeah.
Oh, no comment.
Because the hospital don't give you medical leave.
You know, apparently we don't have the budget for that nowadays.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, alright, are you in any pain? Out of 10?
Just a 2.
A 2? Alright, that's quite
Yeah.
low. Do you need any, like, you know, pain medication, morphine, something like that?
Nah, I'm a strong
No?
woman.
Oh, definitely. Alright, I'm gonna help you to your feet, okay?
Yes.
Just take it easy, alright?
Okay.
Almost got run over too.
You should see the hospital for not giving you medical leave on that arm.
Oh, honestly, they get me working 12 hours a day and
Oh.
overtime. I know, it's so bad.
They need to raise your wages.
That's what I'm saying. I think Christmas time they do that, hopefully.
Oh, only Christmas. Should be every holiday. My car, is it working? No, I need to catch it. It's funny. Okay, let's continue on the show.
Why? Because he has a whole pharmacy in his apartment. I don't know. I said, like, you don't have to answer me. Like, you're either taking some type of drug because you change. I can tell when somebody drinks and they act a certain way. Completely different. I'm like, you're either on some type of drug, I'm going to tell you, or I'm sorry, but I finally got to the point after a while I was sickened. He was maybe getting dementia or some mental thing was affecting his brain.
Now that she's torn down Stefan's physical traits, Anna attacks his mind as well.
What's she watching?
You know, I said, or you're possessed. Because the way you act, you know? And he agreed. Like, yeah, I do feel like I have 2 horns coming out. I do feel possessed. I feel like I have the devil in me. And that's what he said. I'm like, I take that very serious because that's real.
She may be trying to paint Stefan as a monster to validate her accusation that he attacked her, but her claims seem more and more outlandish.
Socially, he does good. That's when he comes home, that's when he falls apart, but I was there to see it. Nobody else saw it because he's never lived with anyone. Right.
While this could be true, it may be a preemptive attempt to cover herself in case anyone contradicts all these behavioral issues she alleges about Stefan.
It started to get so bad that I would tell him these things. I told him, you need to go get him assistance to see if you got dementia. Oh, it was like I was a messenger.
I really don't like going up to Polito when I do podcasts because it's just so fun.
He would get angry with me. right? And he hates me. And I'm like, I'm not gonna stand here and be, you know, like, I'm trying to help you. And so that's when I went back and I went with my friend James.
Maybe Stefan was angry with Anna about her pointing out his flaws, or maybe it was something else. Whatever the reason, police found that in the Parkland Apartments visitor permissions, Stefan had granted Anna visitation rights 2 different times, and each time he canceled those permissions. However, records show that she was listed as a guest in the apartment on the nights of June 8th and 9th, 2013.
Stefan, he was a genuinely nice guy, and I got the impression, but I'm not 100% sure, of course, because I was not up in the apartment, but that he regarded her as his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And then the Saturday, Sunday when he was killed, she was supposed to go to Waco. Stefan tried to arrange something with vaccines or whatever. And then I got this message on Sunday morning, which was a disaster.
Okay. So even though she was planning on leaving, going to Waco, and he was still, out of goodness' heart, helping her go see her children, she did this anyway.
Yes.
Back in the interrogation room, Anna has changed her tone.
It got too much for me. I care for so much for him. You know, and what do? He has no family. Nobody watches after him. Nobody. No, he has nobody. And he would tell me that. Hannah, take care of me. I want you to, you know? And I'm like, I promise I will. You know? And that's how it kind of ran.
I need a
He's lovely, he's
repair.
beautiful, and
I also need to buy more
These statements seem to contradict what she said prior about him, as well as their relationship.
And then he would do really good. And then I'm like, okay, cool. You know? Me too, I get happy. Okay, you're doing good. You know, you're taking care of yourself. I would have to make sure, you know, he was always eating, and I was always worried about him. You know, and then also when he drinks, he wanted to give me the card and go on shopping sprees, and he bought me, we went shopping one time and he bought me $4,000 shoes, no, a purse and shoes. Well, he wanted stilettos for $1,500 for stilettos, okay? And then he bought a purse for $4,000.
That's right, the stilettos. Just one of many generous and expensive gifts that she claims Stefan purchased for her.
Stilettos.
I didn't
I
know how
once
much
wore
those things
stilettos
cost
and I
until
almost
they gave me the
died.
bill. And then we came home and I'm like, to me it was a waste of money because here I am, I can do so much money, you know, and I didn't want to touch, I don't like touching money. I want to do the work and somebody pays a bill, and right, I don't want to touch money. I don't handle it. But
Physically, you do not.
Yeah.
You do not want to touch it.
Yeah.
What is it about the money you don't like to touch? Because of the thought of where it's been,
No.
or who's touched it, or is
No.
it?
Well,
Where am I? I live in the USA.
The detective may be trying to determine if she experiences obsessive-compulsive disorder here. Between this and his earlier questions about psychological assessment, he seems to be seeking a mental health reason to explain her behavior.
Because of what it represents.
Okay, that's
and
what
people do to get the money.
That's what.
Okay, yeah, it's a representation. And how people buy people and they kill and they do whatever they want just to get that dollar, right? So I'm like, I do not want to be corrupted. I believe in that.
It may
I don't wanna
not
touch
sound
it.
like
So
full-on
therefore, I
American
do the work,
accent,
you
but
take
like,
care of,
hey,
you know,
Marta
things
boy.
that I
Oh, that's so
I'm good.
cute.
It doesn't make
Wait,
sense
what is
how she
this?
can want to be taken care of,
Oh,
but not
MC
want
Baby
anyone's
Whip.
money.
That's so
The
funny.
two concepts go hand in hand. It's possible that Anna is trying to downplay the importance of money so that the detectives don't think she was using Stefan for financial
MC
reasons.
Baby should like make her own little dance emote as well, like this one. Like, dude, I put my face on that. It's just so weird.
Have become involved with people who have become confused because of the relationship. They may confuse your kindness towards them, the way that you act towards them, for what they want. Which sounds, and oftentimes is
Now the detective begins to take a greater role in the interview.
I'm good. Just my 2 off days have gone by so fast. I mean, I get it. Friday, I was literally revamping my whole stream overlays, so that took a while. And then I woke up late yesterday, which made the day feel so short. And now it's my last off day, and so I have to go to bed early for work tomorrow. But it's all good, you know.
The common thing that's going to bind us is going to be that.
But how are you? What are you up to? Dude, you need to get you need to make your own the slot dancing. The one with you in FDG where you're dancing, and then make that into like a GIF. That would be so cute.
Anyway, so I got to the point, got upset, whatever, and then, you know, regressed, like I said, and, okay, so this, so point being, and it's good, so.
She seems confused and lost as she tries to pick up her story again, repeating herself quite a bit. The detectives provide a summary of where she was at, up to the point where Anna had returned to staying with James. She picks up the story once more.
I mean, I went back with my friend and James, yeah, just across the street, so I felt safe there and everything. I guess one of his friends came with him and his little girl.
Mr. Hiu know about Shonda? Is that her name?
Yes, all of us are friends.
Okay, you're all friends.
Yes, Shonda lives like
okay.
We are roommates and her kids.
Are y'all in an intimate relationship, or
yes, we're
you and Shonda are in a dating relationship, or you're in a relationship?
This is how she ended up being back at my house because she had been staying with me. She didn't stay there. Out of nowhere, one night in January, she just showed up. She was drunk. A lady from KCMG, the radio station. She dropped off and she was like, hey.
But the thing that I really want to find out is how to open those safe boxes in the house. I've tried everything. I've tried literally everything. I even did so I did the crack safe mode, and I even did a slash report trying to crack safe. Last ditch resort and trying to solve this thing, you know. Nobody replied though to the report, so it was kind of funny. I mean, I thought
before she began hitting her. She tells detectives that they made up and apologized, but Chanda still went behind her back and threw out all of her things. Her fight with Chanda demonstrates a propensity toward violence, and it is not an isolated incident.
This particular day I picked her up, I noticed that she was something was wrong until she asked me to order her a drink. I bought her wine, I got me something to eat, then we were about to leave, we were standing at the bar, and I kind of asked her, are you drunk? Because she was acting weird, woozy, but I couldn't play if something was wrong with her or if she was actually drunk because I hadn't been there before.
How would you describe weird?
She was just kind of mumbling to herself. And I'm like, are you? And she was kind of laughing and giggling. I'm like, are you drunk? To the point, are you drunk? But I never thought anything of it. She drank the wine and left. I took her home. When I got home, sitting in my room. And I'm sitting in my recliner chair watching TV, and she comes over as if she's gonna kiss me. And she leans down and she bites me on my head. And it, where it pulls the skin away from my head. So at that time I told her, Anna, you have to leave my house. Because there's a 9-year-old here, she's a little girl. I don't want her. Your drinking has become a problem.
That's right. I actually need to revamp my channel point rewards.
So I asked her if she has to leave my house.
With nowhere else to go, Anna appeals to Stefan
think
for
I need
help.
to
Just days
think
before
of
he would meet his
things
end on the wrong side of an expensive stiletto.
Make it
Unfortunately,
different.
this isn't even the first time that Anna resorted to biting someone while drinking. This time, the victim of her assault was Stefan himself, while they were dining at Bodega's taco shop. The couple were regulars there, and police questioned Herbert Vargas Diaz, the manager. He explained that some customers told him that Anna had gotten into an argument with Stefan during one of their visits and had bitten him on the face. While he admits he didn't see the actual assault take place, he did get ice for the wound. Incidentally, the customers in question were a couple that Anna and Stefan were dining with, which included his good friend Anders.
She just arrived, as I recall it, from nowhere, and was extremely aggressive and bite him in his cheek. So there was, I mean, really light mark sheep on the right side. And then she just disappeared and left her bag with computer and everything.
One, do you know why? Did you hear Anna make any remarks to him before she bit him?
No.
And number two, did Mr. Anderson say why she might have bit him after the incident? No,
Yes,
nothing
I
at all.
recall.
Was he?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the only thing I know is that Stefan and I, we left her bag at the Bodega's restaurant to the bartender and walked away.
Okay.
And went to another place, and Stefan was crying.
Okay. Well, he was
emotionally extremely touched.
okay because of the experience. Not that he was actually injured, but the emotion of it.
Nor is this the first time that Stefan allegedly suffered physically at Anna's hands, in a very literal sense on another occasion.
Why is there a freaking cougar here? That's my question.
She was trying to strangle him?
Yes.
Like, I've never seen a cougar here before. It came out of nowhere at one point, and then and now I see it again.
About
Like,
other incidents involving
dude, I'm kinda
unusual
afraid.
behavior from
Not
Anna.
that, you know.
Will Brown, the
Yoy,
manager of Stefan's
cougar.
condominium complex, provided an incident report which contains several reported situations
I don't know
involving
why there's
Anna
been a
Fox.
cougar here
The
recently.
most
I don't know if
significant
that's
was
always
that on
been like
October
that, or I
27,
just never saw it.
2012, while extremely intoxicated,
But yeah, it
she
came out
reportedly
nowhere
sliced the
like
hose
that
on the
one
back of Stefan's refrigerator. Anders remembers his friend telling him about the incident.
The first thing I heard about was that she had
Think it's
pulled
still
out
alive.
the refrigerator from the wall and tried with a scissor to cut the water supply
I
to
don't know.
the refrigerator. And Stefan woke up and said, "What are you doing? Yeah, there's an entity there."
Anna's behavior suggests that she may have significant issues with impulsivity. Thinking there was an entity in the fridge could suggest that she may have been suffering from some paranoid ideation. Both of these symptoms can be present in someone with borderline personality disorder. Nighttime concierge Florence McLean was also present at the time.
She had cut the back water thing on the refrigerator, and we had to call maintenance to come and fix it because water was going everywhere. She said it was making a lot of noise, and so she cut the line with a knife. So and she was like, why would she do something like that? But you know, Mr. Anderson was just real quiet about it when Sam went up there to check on him. He just told me, he said, I told Mr. Anderson, why in the world would she do that? And he said, he don't know. She just went over and cut the wire.
However, as the incident drew to a close, the concierge on morning duty made a prophetic statement. I advise Mr. Anderson to take the incident
my God,
with this
no,
lady
no.
very serious,
Oh, shit.
or the situation could escalate into something major down the road.
A lot of people had warned him, even one of the other concierges that worked here, Sam. He had even told him, you know, Mr. Anderson, you need to get away from that lady. She's crazy. She's very aggressive.
The report also featured complaints about Anna's behavior from others on the property. A manager on site from another company also commented on her unusual behavior toward his workers, observing that she was pretty weird. In light of these recurring issues, manager Lil Brown approached Stefan directly. He defended Anna as a friendly person who he was helping out temporarily, but agreed to discuss the incidents with her. Nonetheless, she'd been staying with him a month at that point, and the hotel staff wanted clarification. Manager Lil Brown made a special note to keep an eye on Anna Fox. Investigators continued to learn about more examples of Anna's negative behavior. Describing the previous incidents reminded Anders of another situation that Stefan had to endure.
She took his car and was driving around somewhere, and it was destroyed, and they had to repair it for quite a lot of money.
After learning of these events, the investigator has a few relevant questions for Anders.
Did he ever say he was in fear for his life or anything like that? No, and he just, even though these incidents happened, he still stayed with her. And
right.
Did he ever tell you that he loved her or anything like that?
Yeah, he did that in the beginning, definitely. And he was very happy meeting her. But then, after this incident at Bodegas, when she bit him in the cheek, my wife and I said, we are not going to meet when you were together with her, because we feel afraid.
Yes, sir.
So, but then I don't know. I got the impression not long time before he was actually murdered that he felt threatened by her, because he called me and asked for something, talking about something, and then he said to me several times, I have to stop, she's coming.
Okay.
This doesn't sound like the same Anna that she herself is describing back in the interview room.
And believe me, I try to keep the peace, you know? But anyways, get into a fight yesterday. She hit me, look, I still have the bruises with the stick. She kept a stick. She hit me with the stuff. And then James got in it too, you know? And by then, you know, I was like, I calmed down or whatever.
Oh my god, if that was a hardwood, I would have died.
Oh, by the way, so-and-so's coming. You know, I was starting to rant and I turned and I hit him with my teeth on his head because we were sitting together. I turned and at the same time he looked at me.
This is really long. All I know is that she killed whoever she was living with.
Emergency, which service?
A fire.
March 4th, 1980. The city of Stevenage, England, is
1980?
rocked by an inferno at the house where Susan Lawson lives with her 4-year-old daughter, Amanda. A passing milkman rushes in and is able to rescue the child, but sadly, her mother never made it out. The Stevenage police begin an investigation that will haunt the lives of those involved for nearly 4 decades.
There was a few issues that I didn't particularly like.
When we moved her neck up away from the chest, we saw that that area of the neck had not been burned. We found signs of strangulation.
Susan Lawson was not killed by the fire. She was murdered. What started as an investigation into a tragic accident becomes a desperate search for a killer. And the key to putting a monster behind bars lies with the sole witness, 4-year-old Amanda.
I was screaming, crying my eyes out, and he said he won't stop unless I stop crying.
Would not only have to face her mother's killer once, but twice. It's March 4th, 1980. The small city of Stevenage, England, wakes up to smoke rising from the second-floor window of the home of Susan Lawson and her 4-year-old daughter, Amanda. A milkman, Michael Knowles, who was out making his morning deliveries, was first on the scene of the raging fire. From outside the burning home, he can hear the cries and screams of a trapped child. Without hesitation, Knowles rushes in, braving the fire and thick smoke, heading into the darkness and toward the cries for help.
The milkman smashed the door in, and he took me down the stairs, and I looked at my legs, and I could see I was burned.
Inside, he finds 4-year-old Amanda on the stairs, waiting for rescue. She is miraculously alive, but badly injured. Knowles carries Amanda out of the blaze and to safety, saving her life. Shortly after, the fire department arrives and manages to bring the raging fire under control, finally allowing police inside to begin their investigation. In the upstairs bedroom, they find that Amanda's mother, Susan, had perished in the inferno. Unfortunately, fires of this kind are not uncommon in the 1980s, and an official ruling is made finding the fire to be an accident, likely just another case of someone falling asleep with a lit cigarette. But what investigators will find is
Oh, who sleeps with a cigarette?
A shocking crime, the effects of which wouldn't be fully known for decades. Susan Lawson and her 4-year-old daughter, Amanda, live a quiet, peaceful life in the city of Stevenage, Hertfordshire, about 20 miles north of London. Recently divorced, Susan is dedicated to giving the best life she can to Amanda, despite the recent turmoil.
Just left me and my mum, and we were just really close. It was the two of us, so we spent a lot of our time together, and I just remember lots of fun, happy times.
The two settle into a 2-story house, just a few blocks from where Susan's parents live and rent out the extra space. Though they have their fair share of struggles, Susan and Amanda spend almost every minute together. And for Amanda, her mother is everything.
I'd sleep in her bed with her, then with whatever was happening that day, we would generally be together.
Until all of that was ripped away on the morning of March March 4th, 1980. It appears at first that a tragic accident claimed the life of the young mother and left her daughter severely injured and alone. But Detective Constable Peter Harper isn't so sure. Something about the scene feels off. The way the flames spread seems intentional.
I could see burning to the left-hand side bottom of the bed, which led me to think, well, triggered me a little bit.
How could the fire have started at the bottom of the bed if Susan had dropped a cigarette in her sleep? His suspicions are overruled by the other investigators.
They actually did call out a forensic scientist, and he didn't agree with my interpretation.
However, a mandatory autopsy reveals something far more sinister. After examining her body, forensic pathologists uncovered clear signs of strangulation that, amazingly, survived the fire.
When we moved her neck up away from the chest, we saw that area of the neck had not been burned.
Stevenage police make a new roar as it becomes clear that they are not investigating an accidental fire, but a murder.
I realised that obviously my suspicions were correct. I phoned up the detective inspector at Stevenage and I told him we had got a murder on our hands.
With Amanda recovering and under the care of Susan's parents, the police begin a new investigation.
Oh,
With a changed
shit!
perspective on the case, they look for clues as to who could have killed the single mother and left her child alone to die in a fire. In the kitchen, something grabs Detective Harper's attention.
There was 2 cups and 2 plates. It struck me that it was 2 plates and cups that had been used by adults rather than a mother and child.
Someone else had been at the house prior to the fire being set. Only one fingerprint survived the blaze, but one is all they need. Police begin the arduous task of matching the fingerprint, and, through hard work, they find a potential match on file. A local man named
Need
John
a
Dickinson.
repay.
At first, Dickinson seems like a perfect suspect, having a violent past and a history with the police, including a conviction for burning down several apartments in the 70s, for which he served a 3-year sentence.
This discovery that John Dickinson was an arsonist was a critical tipping point for the police.
But still, there was no concrete evidence Dickinson was the one who started the fire, just that he was at the house. As it was known, Susan rented out her extra room. It was more than reasonable that Dickinson could have been in the home inquiring about a place to stay. If the Stevenage police would want to make an arrest, they need more. They need an eyewitness.
There you go.
Although severely injured and in the hospital, Amanda recovers.
I suffered burns to my legs, both feet, and I needed to have skin graft operations for the burns.
Her little legs were burnt terrible. It was when I first time I saw them, and I thought, oh God, you know, she had all these grafts, and it just looked terrible.
The police are also worried she may be a target for surviving the fire, so Amanda is placed under 24-hour watch to assure her safety. While
There you
she's in the
go.
hospital, Amanda's 5th birthday passes. Her remaining family, including her grandparents, aunt, and uncle, do their best, but after losing her mother and her home in one grisly act of violence, the 5-year-old is inconsolable.
I went down the hospital, I could hear a little girl crying, mummy, mummy, and of course it was Amanda. She was just hysterical. All she wanted was her mum to come and give her a big cuddle and make everything all right, which wasn't going to happen.
Each day is a challenge, and adjusting to her new life would be the beginning of a battle that would last for years. The police know if they want to catch who is responsible, they need Amanda's help. But time is ticking away. When the police finally interview Amanda, they present her with photos of several men, hoping to narrow the search. The 5-year-old studies the photos and describes every detail she can remember.
Initially, it was quite difficult for the police to interview such a young child about what had gone on. One of the things that she did say to them was that a man had been present and had hurt her mummy.
They said I had to look at photographs of men, and I had to say if it was him or not, if it was a man.
Eventually, Amanda's eyewitness testimony and the physical evidence from the scene give the police the confirmation they need to arrest Dickinson. But what Amanda does not tell the police becomes a closely guarded secret she carries with her for years to come. A secret about what else she saw the morning her world changed forever. John Dickinson is arrested shortly after.
I went to the address where he was living. He was quite aggressive.
As soon as he is in custody, he attempts to shift the blame by placing the fault on Susan herself. The following months become a media circus, with tabloids and newspapers printing every detail John Dickinson claims to be true, without question.
The first week of the trial comes out with this story about how Susan had asked to be tied up in some sexual game. Then he fell asleep, and when he woke up, she was dead. That was his flimsy excuse.
The trial takes its toll on Susan's family. Every headline becomes another weapon Dickinson can use to attack Susan's memory, and he does so with the help of the media. Despite all this, in September of 1980, after 2 weeks on trial, John Dickinson is convicted and sentenced to 18 years to life behind bars. Because of the law surrounding incarceration in the UK, the possibility of his eventual release is likely given the conviction. And without her mother by her side, 5-year-old Amanda begins to suffer from night terrors and even vivid hallucinations.
Then I'd wake up really scared in the night. Sometimes I'd hear voices in my head, like a man's voice echoing, murmuring. I could hear it was his voice telling me to shut up and stop crying. I just knew I had to do something. I couldn't go on like this. I didn't know if I was mad. I used to think, am I mad? Why am I like this? Why can't I just go to sleep like everyone else?
The threat of Dickinson's release becomes a constant fear, and the little girl's secret about what really happened stays buried for the next 8 years. It's now 1988. Amanda is living with her grandparents in Stevenage, only a short walk from where her life changed forever. 12-year-old Amanda stumbles upon a collection of newspaper clippings her grandmother had saved about her mother's case. Every lie Dickinson had said in court was printed for the world to read.
So I looked at it, I was only a child at the time, and I was reading it, and I was absolutely shocked at what I was reading, what he'd said.
Even after all he did, and after all this time, Dickinson was still finding ways to cause pain.
Just thought, what you done to us, and now you've made it even worse by saying this.
Amanda makes a decision to confide in her grandmother and tell her the truth of what happened to her, finally sharing her secret for the first time.
When I woke up, I could see that the man was at the bottom of the bed, and then suddenly, just out of nowhere, he just sort of came flying over towards my mum and grabbed her, and I was just in bits. I was screaming, crying my eyes out, and he said, "You won't stop unless I stop crying." And then he just grabbed me and got a pillow and pushed it over my face, and I just remember feeling his hands on my neck. After a while, I just wanted it all to be over with. I came around, and my mum was back in bed with me, and there was a fire at the bottom of the bed.
Dickinson had strangled and attempted to murder Amanda that morning along with her mother. Until now, no one but Amanda and Dickinson knew what really happened.
And she said, I know what he said at court, and she said, that was a complete pack of lies. I saw everything. I saw him actually strangle her and then set fire to the place. She didn't die that way. She was, she saw the way she died. So she witnessed it all.
If the police had known the full story during the trial, more charges may have been brought against Dickinson.
How are
charges that could have
we?
kept him behind bars permanently. And now Amanda realizes more than ever that she will always be a target. It's now 2014. John Dickinson is released from prison after serving his full sentence for the murder of Susan Mosen and the arson that destroyed her home. 34 years behind bars, devastating the family. Now 66 years old, Dickinson is free to move back into society. For Amanda, now 39, it becomes more important than ever that the world learns the truth about what he's done. She writes a book titled Without a Mother's Love, published in 2016, detailing all she had gone through in the decades since the murder. 2 readers of Amanda's book are siblings Angie Godfrey and Jamie Little. They too suffered at the hands of John Dickinson in the 70s, when he was their stepfather. When the siblings learn of Dickinson's release, the fear that he may hurt someone else is too much to stand by and do nothing. Amanda reaches out to Angie after hearing her story, and immediately the two women share a bond, an unfortunate connection because of one man.
And it was nice to talk to her, talk about our feelings and
Trying to
growing
help
up
out
feeling
a friend with
guilty
fibercloth.
and bad about ourselves.
Having found strength in Amanda's story, and after 40
People are
years of
selling
fearing one
fibercloth
man,
for
the siblings are ready to
or
do
for
whatever
mad
they need
money.
to make sure John Dickinson will
But
never hurt anyone.
I'm not gonna do that to friend of mine. I'm gonna just sell the regular before, like the price.
For this disgusting crime that he's put on them, and it was just swept under the carpet. She plucked up the phone,
Oh!
made that phone call to the police.
With Amanda's
You
encouragement and help, the siblings finally bring forward
I'm good. I'm good. You good?
You have any fiber cloth you want to sell?
I don't.
Dickinson is
Okay, all
immediately
good.
the
No,
first
no
to
worries.
renew
Sorry,
the
sorry
production.
about that. You too.
In 2019, police have all the pieces they need to make an arrest. A search of Dickinson's home uncovers just how grave
Is
the
this
threat was.
collapse? Oh, it does collapse.
A gun that, thankfully, was intercepted.
Ah.
Dickinson is once again behind
the other
bars.
side.
And finally, in September of 2020, almost exactly 40 years after his initial conviction for the murder of Amanda's mother, John Dickinson is convicted and sentenced again, this time to 17 years for his crimes against Angie and Jamie as children. If he survives his sentence, John Dickinson will be 90 years old at the time of his release.
And then watching true crime as well,
Amanda,
you know, the
with
usual.
The help of Dickinson's own stepchildren, has put a monster behind bars for a
And
second
discovered
time, and
the
likely for the rest
change
of his
in
life.
cleaning
Amanda spent years of her
properties
life
as well.
working through the trauma and fear
I say
of what
properties
happened that
instead of
morning on
houses
March
because
4th, 1980.
there's
With the
another
help of
way
her
to
close-knit
do
family and a drive to find
like a
peace,
lot more
Amanda
of a
dated
way.
the darkness of her childhood.
I wanted something good to come out of this bad situation. I didn't want this man to destroy my life as well, my family's life. I didn't want it to be a sad ending. It had to be a happy ending.
At 26, she found love and married, having two beautiful daughters of her own, the eldest named after her mother. She has dedicated her life to giving her children everything that was taken away from her. Amanda continues to speak publicly about what she went through, hoping to help others who had to experience similar tragedies find the strength they need to carry on.
I just feel like she gave me a loving start to my life. We had that special bond because it was just the two of us.
Amanda also pioneered a series of after-school clubs for children with working parents, providing a safe place for them to be together after school hours. And, even after 4 decades, Amanda holds on to the vivid, everlasting memories she has of her mother and of the time they spent together, however short that time was.
It's a really good life.
The boy you see here is 8-year-old Ricky Tokarz.
My life is over. He saw to that. I will be his victim for the rest of my life, or his.
This man is not a victim. He has been convicted of multiple charges of assault and kidnapping, and he has been locked up for 30 years. And in 3 seconds, he is about to speak directly to his real victim.
What can I do, man? Just tell me, what do you want? If
Her
you want me to
face.
spend the rest of my life in here, fine. If you want me to get out and be a personal slave for the rest of my life, hey, I'll do that. If you want me
Well.
to lick your shoes every night, I'll do that. Just tell me what you want, man.
Did something happen in that box?
I'm not gonna answer that.
13-year-old Paul Martin Andrews, kidnapped, assaulted, and trapped inside a box in the ground for 8 days. But he escaped, and when he got out, he did everything in his power to ensure Richard Osley would never terrorize another little boy again. But unfortunately, that would be a lot harder than he thought.
This man is a monster. This man cannot be released.
In the small town of Portsmouth, Virginia, 13-year-old Paul Martin Andrews has recently moved to the area with his family, including his younger sister, Jennifer. January 11, 1973. It's a snowy day, and Martin walks to a local convenience store just 2 blocks away from his home to buy some milk for him and his sister. But Jennifer starts to worry when Martin doesn't return home.
It's my fault. I sent him out for milk. It was the longest night of my childhood, thinking that he wasn't going to come back.
With no sign of Martin, his family calls the police. Police begin their search. A local fireman searches for Martin using a helicopter, but no trace of him is found. January 12th, a day passes with still no leads. Martin's family anxiously awaits as 1 day turns into 2, then 3. They fear the worst has happened, that Martin has died. Worrying he might have drowned, the Coast Guard drags a local waterway, looking for Martin's body, but nothing comes up. 1 full week has passed since Martin disappeared. People are starting to lose hope.
8 days of torture for your family.
January 19th, 1973, there is a glimmer of hope. Deep in the woods, hunters come up a hill and discover a door in the ground. They open it and find little Martin chained inside the box. Martin's mother is at work when she gets the call. She doesn't know if he is dead or alive. He has just arrived at the hospital with police. Martin is badly beaten, with 2 black eyes and a broken nose, but he's alive. Martin and his family are finally reunited, but his abductor is still on the loose, nowhere to be found.
The police bring Martin suspect photos, and he quickly identifies his abductor, Richard Osley. The police look into Osley and learn that he is one of Virginia's most notorious child molesters. He's been convicted of kidnapping and sexual assaulting minors many times before.
Buck Miller was 14 years old. He was befriended and then sexually assaulted by Richard Osley.
The very same day Osley kidnapped Martin, he skipped his court appearance for abducting Buck.
He was out on bail for raping another child and was forced to live with his father, who lived just down the street from where my mother lives.
As police and FBI scramble to find Osley before he takes another victim, Martin returns home. But his sister sees that his nightmare isn't over yet.
When I saw his head, he turned and looked at me, and that's when the nightmare came true. His eyes were empty. He wasn't there. My strong older brother was somebody else.
The search for Osley extends into neighboring North Carolina until finally, on the fourth day of the search, at 2:30 a.m., the FBI gets a phone call from Osley's father. Osley has returned home. The FBI moved quickly, and Osley is arrested on September 27, 1973. 13-year-old Martin is scheduled to testify against his abductor in court.
Hey, Steve,
the trial
what
will be
is
the
that?
first time Martin speaks about what happened to him in the box. The prosecution is worried about Martin
Chilling, you know, on my last day off that has flown by
One of the
so
biggest
quick.
concerns was that he was just a young fellow, 13 years of age, and had been horribly abused by Osley. And to have to put him on the stand to testify as to what happened to him concerned me greatly.
I remember seeing Richard Osley over to the side. I remember him staring at me. His eyes never really left me.
Yeah, I feel like it went by really fast though.
Martin tells
But that's
the
because
police
I
what
got
happened to him the day of his
I
abduction.
wasn't even
My story
sitting on
starts
Friday.
I
my
decided to
day
walk up to
because
the
I
convenience
was
store.
fixing up
While
my
walking,
whole
a blue minivan
overlays
pulls up next to him.
for my stream.
Richard Osley rolls down the window.
He rolled down his window and he said,
He
I'm in trouble.
does.
I need help. I have to move some
My
furniture
friend
for
was
my
like
brother,
back from
and
his
I can't
2 week,
do it
and I'm
by
like,
myself.
what? It's already been
Could you
2
help
weeks
me?
for you? What?
I'll give
I
you
was
a few
so
dollars.
surprised.
Not knowing that there is a predator lurking in his small community, Martin agrees. They drive off together. Osley drives Martin 20 miles from his home into a forest.
My concern began to grow about how long this was going to take. I started asking him, I said, where are we going? He kept saying, oh, don't worry, it's not much further, it's just up the road.
Osley stops the van in the middle of the snow-covered woods and gets out. He tells Martin they need to take some supplies to his brother's deer box.
So he goes back to the van, and I see him sort of rumbling around, and he pulled out the big
I just feel like
butcher
this
knife
whole
and
year is
closed
going
his
by
jacket around
fast.
it. At that moment, every bell and whistle was going off in my head, and yet continued to follow him down this path. We come upon a clearing, and he points over these mounds of dirt, and he says, his deer box is over there. There was a piece of metal, like a pan, and then he grabbed a hold of it and he lifted it up.
Osley reveals a box hidden in
Right.
the ground.
Just from the opening, you can see some sleeping bags, and there's a blue plastic sheet that covered.
We live this monotonous life of
Osley jumps down
working,
into the box and
gaming,
tells Martin to do the same.
and just living
I
life,
lowered
paying
myself
bills, you know.
into the box, and he said, I've got bad news for you. You've just been kidnapped. My blood ran cold. I was consumed with this instinct to flee and get out of there.
Oh.
I
At
started
least
to
I'm
fight
not
to get
in
out,
one of
and then
these
he
true
grabbed
crime
me.
videos
I'm
where
fighting.
I'm
My
locked
thought
up
was
for
about
years
getting a hold
on
of my
end,
hands
you
onto
know.
that knife, and I start reaching for it. We're
As a
wrestling
prisoner.
as I'm reaching for that knife. He
So
hits
glad
me
I'm
in
not
the
like
face.
that.
At that point, I stopped fighting. He had me under control.
I feel so
Osley
bad for the
binds Martin's
victims
hands
that,
and feet and
you know,
attaches a
well,
chain around his ankle.
the positive
making
point
sure
is
he
that
can't
they
escape.
did survive.
What happens
Yeah.
next may be disturbing to some
But
people.
like to lose
Almost
10 to 20
immediately,
years of your life
he
being
had me stripped out
captive,
of my
that's
clothes.
just
Told me, What's
crazy.
going to happen? You're not going to like. So he assaulted me. Always brutal. Always.
Imagine
at the
being
point of that
kidnapped
knife,
like
always
in the
with threat of death. I didn't walk away.
1980s,
The
right?
knife
As a young
has
person.
been the one
And
thing
being
that
captive
haunts
for
me
like
more than
20,
anything.
30 years, and then you
It
come
was
back
what
to
he
society
used to
after being
intimidate me
rescued,
the
right?
entire time.
And there's
It was what
internet,
kept me
there's
from
cell
running.
phones, there's
Out of respect for Martin,
This
we
computer,
won't be covering
internet,
the
like,
assault past
wouldn't
this
that be
point,
so
but note
bizarre?
that Osley stays with Martin in the box, keeping him hostage for days, until Martin sees something change in Osley.
He was working himself up to kill me. I don't think he's good. He never saw the end game. I don't think he planned for it.
Right.
Now he's stuck. He's stuck at this point. It's going to cost him more years in prison.
Unable to bring himself to kill Martin just yet, Osley viciously attacks him.
And just as I thought he was leaving, he gets over top of me, looking me in the face, and then began to beat me with his fist, back and forth, punching me, yelling at me. I came away with it with two black eyes.
I think I heard about that one. Yeah. There's a couple of stories that are similar.
Martin knows his time is running out. As he lays in the box at night, he thinks about what his mother is going through.
What's going through my mind?
Oh, and I'm kind of done with diving after 2 months of it and collecting 50 cases. So, I mean, I'll probably why am I lagging so much? I'll probably go diving sometime, but just not for a while.
January 19th, 1973, the 8th day of Martin's captivity, Osley makes a mistake that will change the course of this case forever. He leaves Martin alone in the box. 8 a.m. For the first time, Martin hears something outside.
As I sat there, hoping that my mom would come soon to pick me up, I heard the sound of gears shifting, and I said, "That's got to be my mom." My legs.
There's something wrong.
chained
I keep
behind me.
pausing.
I could just stretch
and
out
just,
enough that I could open up the top of the box and just get the top of my head out. And I saw it wasn't my mom, but these two trucks coming through the woods.